that he's being abused.
Stand up.
That's so fucking hot.
I know. Turn to face the car. Do you have anything on you? Do you have anything on you I should know about? Hold still. Hold still, please. Hold still, please. Then stop fighting.
You're a man. You cannot
Tough shit.
touch me.
Tough shit.
You
That's all we
cannot
got.
touch me.
That's all we
No,
got.
you need to hurry over here. You cannot touch me.
Stop it.
Stop fucking worrying.
Stop it.
You cannot touch me.
Shut up. No, you kicked me. You're gonna go to the ground again. Get over here.
There is no law whatsoever that a woman has to be the one to search another woman being arrested. It's also deeply ironic that she has any qualms about somebody else touching her when she's an abuser herself. Nicole?
If you kick me, you're gonna go face down into the ground. She's being an ass. I can't search her because she's swerving at me.
You're right.
It doesn't matter. Relax. Well, we have to search you. You just added another charge by kicking me out of the way. What's a felon? Locked it all. Well, you did this to yourself, dear. Yeah, I told you to stop. How many times? It doesn't matter who called. It doesn't matter who called. No, it does not. You didn't stop. Stop. Okay, now to see, please.
Fucking out of here.
I know that. After chasing after you too.
Okay, scoot your feet in. Or she's gonna shut the door.
Get some air out of you, okay?
Can I have this, please?
You ask you, come on, let's see. Scoot in, please, I'll get the air on you. Can you get your door?
Nicole was arrested and charged with felony battery to an officer, as well as misdemeanor counts of resisting, disorderly conduct, and possession of drug paraphernalia. Unfortunately, most of the charges were dismissed, except for disorderly conduct and resisting. The judge stated that Nicole will be eligible for expungement after 1 year if there are no new charges, as long as fines are paid in full. Running from the police is rarely a good idea, because even if you can evade them for a while, you'll likely be caught eventually. And as you saw in these cases, when criminals run from the police, things usually get bad for them very fast.
I think when you're struggling as a single parent, shame just comes with it. So I think the moment that I realized that I was
Clout is one hell of a drug, and these online personalities became addicted. What may have started as a genuine desire to entertain an audience slowly turned into an endless need for attention, because once the views start dropping and the money dries up, desperation kicks in, and that's when things get dark. Today we're diving into the craziest stories of streamers who went to unimaginable lengths for internet fame, starting with Arab Andy, whose brainless antics may have inspired an entire generation of toxic streamers. Jamal Haraz was a part of the IRL streaming wave that grew out of the CX community, a crazy circle of creators formed around controversial Twitch streamer Ice Poseidon. There was a trend of Andy streamers like Asian Andy and Mexican Andy who were pushing the limits of what they could get away with in public, but Arab Andy was one of the most extreme. He farmed donations by letting his viewers control his surroundings. Arab Andy had an audio speaker on full blast strapped to his backpack. Viewers would donate money, and the message they sent or the audio they requested would blare out loud so anyone near Jamal could hear it.
You know, when we start up donations, there's going to get self-stick and other stuff like that, you know, just to do more equipment and, you know, just more things.
Now, this could often be seen as a harmless prank, but since Andy had absolutely zero moderation, many of the donations consisted of racist language, threats to others, and anything to become a public nuisance. It was only a matter of time before one of these live streams got out of control, and on May 31st, 2018, that's exactly what happened. Arab Andy casually walked onto the University of Washington's campus looking to start trouble. He was not enrolled as a student, but he had his backpack on, and his speaker turned up to max volume. First, he entered a random lecture with the intention of interrupting the class.
Well, when like random people show up to my class and start recording me, I want to know why.
Yeah, I don't know why. I just sent you. You good.
Who sent you?
You good. Authorities?
Get any kind of identification?
Or for like you go, like for this facility for filming? You know, like the filming?
No, I've never heard of such thing.
You ever heard of that?
No.
You started hiring last year. Anyway, dude, I'll come back later on this. I'll speak.
Okay.
Enjoy your class, dude.
Okay.
Okay.
Then he moved on to another area of campus where a small end-of-year gathering was happening, and this is where things took a darker turn. Nobody around him knew who he was, and without warning, a donation alert blared from his speaker. C4 has been successfully activated. Bomb detonation countdown successfully started.
C4 has been successfully activated. Bomb detonation countdown successfully started.
Now, just to clarify, most of the screaming you heard in that clip was from the audio file playing from his speaker. Whoever donated found an audio file that had a bomb detonation countdown combined with an explosion as well as those screams. But when played loud enough and with adrenaline kicked in, it's likely that the people around the speaker could have confused it for being real. As the students and staff ran out of the building, the authorities were notified that there may have been an attempted attack on campus. For the next hour, the entire area was locked down while authorities searched the scene. As the chaos spread throughout, Arab Andy remained alive. He recorded himself casually walking around campus and captured real-time reactions from terrified students.
The project was saying that there was an announcement saying that the bomb was not going to leave. And something like that, and that's when it
Yeah, wait.
What? Someone made an announcement? Yeah.
No way, someone did that? That's fucked up.
As Andy heard the deafening sirens from police, fire trucks, and ambulances approaching the school, he realized his desperate attempt for virality may just have gotten him in huge trouble.
Dude. What the hell, dude? Holy dude. It's not even a bomb, guys. I don't know what. Damn.
He quickly scurried off school grounds, thinking he was in the clear. He even tried to claim that this wasn't his fault.
Guys, I didn't do it. Anything. That was amazing. I'm not even
Now from here, the smart thing to do would be to turn off the live stream and maybe lay low and wait for the police to give up on their search. But Arab Andy is not a smart guy. He continued to live stream and continued to allow his chatters to donate and play random things from his speaker. As he walked through a crowded city street a few blocks away from the school, it was extremely easy for police to figure out who was responsible for the bomb threat. They ran up to him with their guns drawn, unsure if he was a literal terrorist or a prankster.
What's going on? I'm recording, bro. If you're gonna shoot me. What are you doing, bro? Put your gun down. Put the gun down. What are you doing, bro? What are you doing, bro? Alright, let me take my phone. What did I do? I didn't do nothing, bro. I was TTS, by the way.
On the ground now.
Lacking lacking situational awareness and completely downplaying the severity of the situation, he doesn't remain still and tries to tell the officer it was just a prank. And it's honestly surprising that American police officers gave him so much grace because they had no idea if he was a real threat or not. And as we all know, it was just a prank and there actually was no bomb. But the damage had been done and he was in serious trouble. He was arrested and the police charged him with threat to bomb or injure property. He tried to plead his case and explain that it was just a harmless prank, but the law doesn't see it that way. The courtroom set his bail at $75,000 and banned him from uploading anything else to YouTube. And for those thinking that this was unfair, it's likely that law enforcement needed to make sure to punish him in a way that would prevent other clout chasers from attempting such stupid pranks ever again, especially on college campuses. It's unclear if Arab Andy ended up serving in jail time. All I could find was that years later he tried to make a return to YouTube, but shortly after he disappeared again. The same thing can't be said for Fuzi, who has a long history of going to great lengths to chase clout, disappear, and come back to set the bar even higher or lower. At his peak, FuziTube had turned prank content into a money-printing machine, earning tens of millions of views on simple, harmless pranks.
You just call my butt fat?
Oh, I thought you were a girl, man.
You thought I was a girl? No, you know you like what you saw. Don't discriminate now, it's still 10K size. Looks like you want to scratch a piece off, huh?
Fuzi secured millions of subscribers in the earlier days of YouTube, who laughed along with his creative ideas. However, this created an immense amount of pressure to maintain such high viewership, which is why he shifted from mild pranks to thought-provoking social experiments, such as what if the homeless gave you money, and the kidnapping children experiment, where instead of laughing at a silly goose time, the viewer was challenged with a deep introspective assessment. What would you do in this situation? Now, creating a think piece to assess a societal problem was not necessarily a bad idea. However, when Fuzi did not get the reactions he wanted from strangers, he decided to orchestrate reactions from actors or friends that he hired, which turns an interesting thought experiment into a scripted performance that doesn't accurately represent reality. But the real desperation was apparent when he started faking the dumbest ideas, like fake farting in the gym.
Give me a fly! What? Why are you worried about my farts when you're supposed to be trying to stop the sag?
Other rising prank YouTubers like Danny Duncan were on a crusade to call out Fuzi for his fakery.
But he's still lying by saying this prank's real, or this prank's real, or this prank's real.
Yeah.
Like, and you don't need to do that. That's why I'm here. It's like, it's just the principle of lying. You don't have to lie to people to make a video.
And while it may seem like Danny was being overdramatic, he had a simple point that many agreed with. Pranks are supposed to be these funny, spontaneous, and ideally harmless moments that capture the hilarious, authentic reactions from people. But the moment a prank is staged, it becomes soulless, defeating the entire point of having fun. Fuzi initially tried to justify his actions by saying that every other prankster to their videos, but his attitude and hypocrisy made him easy to hate.
It was the fakest reactions I've ever seen in my entire life. And yes, guys, but Fuzi, you fake. How are you going to talk about fake? Exactly. If anybody knows about fake, it's me.
As the years went on, his viewership started to nosedive, which also meant he was losing money, relevance, and then maybe his sanity. That's when the motivational speaker version of Fuzi was born. He started posting these intense rants about positivity, destiny, and mental health. He said he had been chosen by God, that he was here to change the world, that he was going to inspire millions of people and bring the planet together through love. And while the message sounded positive, the delivery felt
Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four is the #1 movie in the world. Now playing.
Michelin innovates through cutting-edge tests, from microscopic compounds to extreme simulated road conditions, so that in every mile and every moment, you can trust Michelin. Michelin, motion for life. Want to fold? Go half-speed. The KitchenAid Bowl Lift Stand Mixer.
Medium iced coffee, 2 hash brown, wake up wrap. That's fine. Delicious iced coffee for Davy Ducks. That's mine. Here's mine. Now I need some breakfast. Go get the Dunkin' $5 meal deal.
Knowing when to go hard and when to go soft.
even with all of these positive messages, people could tell something was off. His behavior felt erratic, and the way he talked started raising concerns about his mental health.
Anybody at the bottom of the YouTube comment section who goes, you go through depression, you go through bipolar, how the hell are you going to be a motivational speaker? I can stand up strong and say, what?
But then he announced something that totally shocked everyone, that he was throwing an event.
I am now, for the first time, going back to the city that destroyed me, Los Angeles, California, and taking back ownership of my life and my power and throwing the biggest event that Los Angeles has ever seen on July 15th. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. We're just getting started. Here we go.
Fuzi named this event Hate Dies, Love Arrives. He claimed it would be a massive Coachella-like experience that would be completely free of charge at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles, all meant to spread peace and positivity. Now this sounds like a massive project, something that might take months, maybe even a year to plan, but Fuzi announced the event just 7 days before it would actually take place.
They're getting a free, basically Royal Rumble Coachella experience because like it's just gonna be 10, 9, 8, a different artist comes out, and it's just gonna get bigger and bigger.
From there, Fuzi uploaded daily videos hyping the event, even titling them Drake July 15th with pictures of Drake as the thumbnail. He even launched a line of merch that had the date July 15th on it as if it meant something huge. This got people talking. It was easily the most attention Fuzi had gotten in years. Keemstar even announced that he was going to be making a documentary about the event.
As I was saying, all sides that I see is leading towards a shit show, and I want to be there to document the disaster.
However, others like FaZe Banks had to step in to remind everyone to be cautious of Fuzi because he seems to be mentally unstable.
We're not talking about someone who's all there right now, okay? He's going through a manic episode, 1 trillion. I don't know if that's true. 1 trillion%.
Fuzi started prophesizing his own life, going on rants about how this event was a message directly from God, and that he was going to unite the entire entertainment industry in the name of love and peace. His desperation for views was so high that he was tagging celebrities in his Instagram posts such as Ellen DeGeneres and Diddy, asking them to show up to the event. He even begged LeBron James to show up and promised him that 1 million people would be watching the event live. When the event started, Fuzi live streamed it from his YouTube channel, and only about 2,000 people tuned in, so he made the title Need 2 million viewers for Drake, as if he was going to magically appear somehow. Fuzi tripling down on the idea that Drake would be there is maybe the only reason why a couple hundred people even showed up. And to no surprise, they never got Drake. Instead, the crowd got embarrassing performances from no-name rappers.
Big like a big party, summer, wanna do everything, and you know I'm with the say nobody here, tell it get you crazy.
And then, when no one thought the event could get any worse, the venue was evacuated by police because of a bomb threat. To this day, no one knows where the threat came from, and the show was over before it even began. But Fuzi wasn't done embarrassing himself just yet. Instead of leaving, he climbed on top of a car in the parking lot and started arguing with Keemstar in front of a crowd of confused fans.
I invested all my money into this event and I did it for free. My accountant said, where are you going to make your money? I said, that's not a problem to me. I didn't care. But before I even got to do the event, before I even got to tell my story, you're making a documentary on it so you can post it after the fact. So if it flops, you can have the hot news on how Fuzi thought we should keep this story.
In the middle of the argument, Fuzi started rapping.
You're still talking about the little things. You're heating up your breakfast when I'm heating up my dinner. Hey, you're burning in the summer while I'm bundled up in the winter.
Before immediately switching back to expressing serious mental health concerns.
I've watched videos going viral after the attention you're giving me now of you saying Fuzi's the biggest piece of egotistical asshole on this earth. I have bipolar and depression. That what you put into my head made me want to
For the next 10 minutes, as helicopters swirled above, Fuzi tried to explain why this event was supposed to change his life, why it was a calling from God, and that he actually wasn't lying about Drake.
I call Opio Johnny and I'm telling him what's happening. And I'm like, am I a leech for this? Am I doing something wrong? He doesn't tell me to stop, and he doesn't say, I'll text Drake for you, or my brother Opio Ryan. He goes, just put your faith in God. So I keep going.
have some money to get myself an actual new pair of pants.
Right? Around me, everybody, the universe, everybody's on the same mission.
I think YouTube has destroyed and rotted his brain. I worry for him. This is 100% mental instability. Being off his meds might be dangerous. And yet, after all this chaos, it ended with Fuzi just admitting on Adam22's podcast that he never actually met Drake. He just kind of stood next to him one time.
So you didn't meet Drake, he just looked at you. I mean, if he just looked at you, did you really meet Drake?
Do something for me. In the next 2 hours, will for yourself to touch nose with Drake's. If it happens, I'll sell my entire YouTube channel.
Did you touch nose to nose?
Literally like this. That's how close he was to me. I did that because I manifested that because I believe in myself, King. This has always been me from the start.
And then a day after this failed event, Fuzi decided he would drop a diss track on Rice Gum called Four Ghosts.
Rice ain't got no spirit, got no deeper layer. One ghost rider, one ghost for not player.
Fuzi lied about Drake performing at his event, caused a bomb scare, and destroyed his reputation worse than it already was. And the sad part is, his unstable mental health and addiction became his entire appeal as a content creator for the years after. When he returned to live streaming on Kick, he openly spoke about battling bipolar disorder, depression, addiction, and anxiety, turning his meltdowns into viral content.
We're dangerous. Physically and emotionally. You're right. I am dangerous. I am dangerous. I'm very dangerous, and I don't kill.
Now, to some degree, this could be seen as a good thing, to help educate others on the importance of mental health and the realities of those who suffer, but then he would sometimes stage public disappearances, stunts, or hospitalizations to drive views and sympathy, leading to a never-ending teeter-totter of people unsure whether or not to feel bad for him or to despise him.
What if I die from my kidney exploding? You guys say we're coming, and I'm just on your behalf in Australia. I hope so that I can blame Australia forever and my parents can sue us for every dollar they're worth.
However, everyone can agree that social media is a net negative for Fuzi, as attention is his drug and he is willing to destroy himself to get it.
How they should have brought it to lose the weight in the first place. So now stop justifying being fat, you know?
And yet, Fuzi's past decade of clout chasing doesn't even remotely compare to Johnny Somali, whose desperation for views got him literally banned in 2 different countries, and now he is facing prison time. Johnny Somali initially started creating content by vlogging his adventures in Japan. Many American live streamers visit Japan because it is safe, clean, and visually interesting. Its vibrant cities, unique fashion, and amazing food allow for an affordable, yet high-quality experience that makes casual streams feel exciting. But somewhere along the line, Johnny's intentions shifted. Broadcasting his fun adventures turned into what he called trolling. But his version of trolling wasn't just jokes or harmless pranks. He went into public spaces, usually with a speaker strapped to his backpack, and tried to annoy as many strangers as he could. He'd say offensive things or blast disrespectful audio clips, all while live streaming to his small audience. Johnny got a taste of the attention he so desperately wanted when a clip of him harassing someone on a train in Japan went viral.
Why you do this?
Johnny berates this man for 4 minutes straight, repeatedly saying Hiroshima and Nagasaki, which are literally just the names of 2 Japanese cities. Now we know he was trying to make some sort of edgy joke in reference to the devastating bomb attacks that the American government dropped on those cities during World War II, but the innocent man on the train probably had no idea. He was just confused and probably annoyed.
Nagasaki, you know. Hiroshima, Nagasaki. We do again. You understand? You don't know.
Now, Japan is known for its deeply rooted culture of respect, order, and social harmony, and Johnny saw that as an opportunity to exploit. He knew that the average Japanese citizen wouldn't fight back, wouldn't yell, and would most likely try to avoid confrontation at all costs. That's what made this the perfect setting for his so-called content. But Johnny was mistaken, because Japanese citizens were extremely pissed off with his behavior and actively tried to find him and confront him. You could feel how scared and caught off guard he was after being smacked in the face.
Those people in Japan, let's be respectful. I hope nobody in the chat was saying weird if I go back to talk. Whoa. Chill out.
One week later, he was attacked again. As satisfying as it was to watch Johnny get roughed up, it did not slow him down. Even though his safety was at risk, he was getting more viewers, which was his ultimate goal. The only time you actually saw him genuinely upset was when he got a temporary 72-hour ban from the live streaming platform Kick.
I don't know what I could have done to get a 72-hour, dog. They said permanent ban or only till ice-free. I guess they banned me till ice-free.
The hate for Johnny just kept spreading throughout the country, and whenever he was confronted, like by this man living in Japan, he would fold and lie like a coward.
Is that me? No. You sure? It's me. Yeah, sorry. I got a problem with you, bro. Yeah. I'm a troll. My wife is Japanese. Okay? You go in there insulting people like that. You know when people come here streaming joking about that? I know. So I would apologize. I was drunk. I know. Family stuff with people, stuff with that. You on the train harassing people like that? I was drunk. Don't do it again, bro. I haven't done anything. I've seen how people in Tokyo whoop your ass. You left that over the same thing. Is that a threat? It is, yeah. Because you go harassing people like that, innocent people who didn't do anything. Japanese people, bro, I was drunk. I apologize. People I haven't met in my life. You want to do something like that for what, bro? For a little bit of clout? It's pathetic.
But sadly, his antics persisted.
You know what you are, man, you got what? Show these niggas psycho, nigga, keep moving.
The more he made it clear that he did not respect Japanese culture or Japanese people, the more they retaliated. And it seemed like every other day he would provoke others until they felt like they had to physically defend themselves from him. There was one incident that is far too graphic for YouTube, but Johnny and his friend got knocked out cold for provoking the wrong guy, leaving his face busted open and bloodied. And you would think that after Johnny Somali got the Mario coin smashed out of him, he would change his behavior, but he didn't. And soon, the police would have to do something about it. During his time in Osaka, Somali entered a hotel construction site without permission. He started laughing and taunting the workers. But this time, the consequences involved the authorities. Japanese police arrested him for obstruction of business.
Why? Nothing. Take a security check. Listen to security. Hey, why are you emotional with me? Why? So emotional. I'm not emotional. God, don't. I'm okay. I don't want to ask my dad. Why?
The Japanese police were extremely polite and cordial, and they seemingly let him off with a warning. But then his antics got him arrested again, and he was charged with conspiracy to obstruct business after blasting loud music in a restaurant during his live stream. Japanese citizens were more than fed up, and evidently so were the authorities. In January of 2024, he was found guilty, fined a few $1,000s, and was officially banned from Japan. Now, this should have been the end of his antics, but instead, Johnny took it as an opportunity to move to another country, because for a man as desperate for clout as Johnny Somali, getting banned from countries was like collecting infinity stones. In October of 2024, he arrived in South Korea, and as soon as he touched down, it was evident he was taking his obnoxious behavior to new heights. He harassed even more people using public transportation, one of his all-time favorite stunts. Then, while walking past the sacred Comfort Women statue, a memorial honoring Korean women forced into sexual slavery by Japanese military during World War II, Johnny blatantly disrespected it in front of everyone, twerking and giving the statue a lap dance. This monument is one of the most solemn and emotional landmarks in South Korea. Johnny's disrespect set off a national outrage. Korean viewers clipped the footage and shared it across across South Korean social media. News outlets covered it within hours, but Johnny thought the outrage was funny. So he went to other versions of the statue, kissed and fondled them, and even rubbed oil on himself while dancing on the statue again. Johnny continued his buffoonery from the streets of Seoul, taunting locals and daring people to confront him.
So what are you talking about? Like, niggas gonna come up to me, bro, why you being racist to other people in other countries? For money, for clout. I've said it many times. I don't give a I have no morals. I'm a fucking sociopath. I don't give a Put this in your next YouTube documentary. I don't give a Korean niggas with this.
Swing on it right now. I was waiting for him to swing on it. I was waiting, bro. I was waiting for him to swing. I wanted to stop on his
tonight. We're not there.
And Koreans took Johnny up on his challenge. And on multiple occasions, Johnny was hunted down and beat up. And yes, every time he was incredibly scared.
What's up?
It's almost starting to seem like he has some sort of
almost halfway done.
Because he never would defend himself, just taunt people, get beat up, and then film his battered face for everyone to laugh at. Another South Korean man attacked Johnny while he was still recovering from his last beating.
What you got? Huh? What you got? Not touch me. What you got? Don't touch me, baby. Huh? What you got? What you got?
What the fuck did I just do?
What you got? What you got? What you got? What you got? Oh!
The attacker got arrested, was proud of it, and locals even raised money to pay for his legal bills. But unfortunately, no amount of punches could stop Johnny until the authorities stepped in once again. In another desperate attempt to clout chase, Somali wreaked havoc in a 7-Eleven for, once again, no reason.
One second, I'm having some technical difficulties. Alright, yeah, love you too.
He was not detained the evening of these antics, but faced criminal charges and was placed under a travel ban, preventing him from leaving the country while prosecutors built their case. Finally, Johnny Somali was banned from YouTube, Kick, and Twitch, and only then did he try to apologize for his behavior, but he didn't really seem like he wanted to.
Right now, you're a big issue.
Okay, I think that fixed it. Don't do it again. I don't know what the fuck I did, but I did a thing.
I was not aware of the significance of the statue. I was trying to get,
Right up there.
entertainment from my audience. We're from America. We really don't know much about the company or much about the statue.
Okay.
So when I saw the statue, I came up on my stream. At first, I really didn't know what it was. So now, after I see the reaction from the Korean people, I see that it really hurt you guys. And my intention in coming to Korea was not to.
This one of the golden goblin.
In South Korea, he was indicted on multiple crimes, including obstruction of business and public indecency, stemming from causing disturbances in convenience stores, playing loud music in public, and engaging in lewd acts near sensitive historical monuments. And these aren't necessarily minor crimes with minimal charges. If convicted on all counts, he could face up to a decade in jail. He showed up to his trial in March of 2025 wearing a MAGA hat, despite being told repeatedly to remove it, showing once again he was not taking any of this seriously. But he did plead guilty to 3 charges: 1, obstruction of business, and 2, minor Crimes Act violations. But Johnny is a clout-addicted idiot, and before he could be sentenced, he decided to once again break the law for attention. He created AI-generated deepfake videos that depicted him kissing a popular Korean streamer named Bongbong. Under South Korean law, the creation, distribution, or possession of non-consensual AI-generated explicit content is classified as a crime. Legal experts have confirmed that this offense carries a mandatory prison sentence of up to 7 years. Unlike the previous charges, which allowed for financial penalties, this particular crime eliminates the possibility of a extraordinary crime, which means Johnny Somali will be going to jail. During his second trial in May of 2025, he pled guilty to 2 more charges, and his third trial, which is scheduled for August of 2025, will likely address the violence crimes charges. I can only imagine that the people of South Korea want their government to make an example out of Johnny Somali, because if he gets off with a mere slap on the wrist, then there will be more desperate Americans looking to clout chase in their country. Because unsurprisingly, Johnny Somali is not the only live streamer who will be spending time in jail in another country. OG prank YouTuber Vitaly is currently behind bars in the Philippines for his desperate attempts at chasing views. Similar to Fuzi, Vitaly's Dorosvetsky became a viral YouTube success for his pranks, social experiments, and stunts. His content consistently pushed boundaries, deliberately trying to provoke strangers and get as close as possible to an explosive physical altercation without actually getting knocked out.
Transactions complete. Transactions complete. Yo, transactions complete. Yes. 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 Got it. Yes.
But that's only true if you thought these videos were real. After all, we are talking about the guy who in one video apparently got 4 women to give him their underwear in public by simply just asking.
Ask for your panties.
What?
I came asking for your panties.
Why?
Well, because
They need to eat a meal and mind their business. Oh, God. That's what they need to do.
Yeah, exactly 5 hours to get this shit done.
If that's my boyfriend, I'd appreciate me if you asked food. Don't even foul because
On a regular basis, restaurants deal with the typical and deranged customers, and sometimes they need assistance from police. When these Karens act out and find themselves face to face with police officers, the only thing they can get from the menu is a slice of humble pie. The consequences get served hot when restaurant Karens get humbled by police.
Everything's said now. I'm going to go ahead and just let you know you're no longer welcome to the restaurant, okay?
Oh, don't you worry, and you're not the owner, so quit calling yourself the owner. Yeah, quit your false pretense.
On July 31st, 2024, the cops were notified about a violent, disorderly woman at a nearby restaurant. When they arrived on scene, the manager revealed that the woman tracked him and was now leaving in her car.
don't leave. Stop. Stop now.
One second.
Stop now.
I took my purse, threw us out because our friend moved a chair and he grabbed it by the back of his shirt. We're leaving.
Step out for me real quick. I'm going to talk to you. Step out for me.
I don't have an ID. You don't have that time.
Joan is in. Get out of the car now. You're under arrest at this point in time, okay?
You're gonna tell her why? For what? You're gonna tell her why? You can't do that.
Put the car in park right now. Shut it off.
Okay, no, shut it off. Please tell her why.
I will tell her why, but shut the car off. You go to the car.
Fine.
Come outside.
No, I'm not getting out of the car.
You're going to have a fun time with it.
Call Dad. Call Dad. What did I do?
You're going to jail for battery and obstruction.
There's no obstruction.
Yo.
Stacy, come on, come on.
It was unclear who Doug was, but she somehow believed he could stop the arrest. However, her combative behavior just earned this Karen an additional charge of resisting arrest. The cops were called out due to a battery, but the woman claimed there hadn't been a battery and nothing violent had occurred.
He took my purse and then told us to leave because we moved a chair for our child.
So when he tells you to get out of the car, so
I know.
figure out what happened, and try and hold like it's not cool.
I did. I'm still mad. I'm still mad. I'm sorry.
Unfortunately, a business can
kick you out for anything.
We left.
They can kick you out for anything else.
We left after he pulled the guy by the shirt. And my daughter's here, my granddaughter. There's a party of 11. We moved a chair.
That's up to the business if you want to leave.
And we left.
When we show up and tell you to do something, you have to do it. We're investigating. We're being told you threw something at someone too.
There's something? No, I want my purse. He won't let me go back in and I want my purse. And he said, we can't go back in. I want my purse.
Yo.
Did you have the purse?
No, it was hanging on the back of my chair. They went back in to get it because he refused to let me in.
Okay, we'll make sure it's taken care of. So.
I want to say
The woman seemed
maybe.
confident that nobody threw anything at anyone. However, when the cop spoke to her daughter and the manager of the restaurant, suddenly her story started to change.
The kid initiated it, like Dave initiated it, and then my mom probably was rude and like trying to call him names and
So
stuff.
this came out as a assault and battery in progress.
So everything happened
damn.
over here. Basically, he's in the bar area. They're waiting for a table. I asked just a son thing.
Oh, gotta get these damn things
The
done.
woman and the guy that wants to sit at the bar. He flipped out on me, started screaming at me, come separated from me, but come to ask him. So I gave him my chair instead. And then he decided to go outside and try to fight me. He took his shoes off, so I just stopped the door. And then she comes over to me and starts screaming at me. I said, man, what are you screaming at? Right. And she just screamed. I'm talking screaming. So we're walking through here. And I get probably right about here. Boom, chucks it right at in front of everybody.
The plastic thing, and I threw it down on the ground. Yeah, I did that. That was me. Not the boy. He was aggravated. I was trying to like distract them because I know the boy he grabbed would have fought back.
So you threw an insert with the special stuff.
Yeah, it was like a plastic thing on the table. I threw it on the ground. I screamed at him. I shouldn't have resisted, but I'm like, what?
The plastic thing was a menu holder that's usually found on restaurant tables.
Yeah.
She threw the item. The manager claims she
Gotta
threw it
fix my
again,
work
while
pants.
She claims she threw it on the ground.
I can't
If they were in charge of the
afford.
battery, it would have had to make physical contact with the manager.
Excuse me, guys. Is this anyone's purse?
It's like,
This is your purse. Okay. Do you guys know if you picked up a purse from the people who were?
no, the one that came out, but I haven't seen anything at all.
Is this your purse behind you here? Did you
One
guys see
moment.
the purse that was left behind? Okay. Thank you.
I'm sorry, sir. I mean,
We're still looking for your purse, okay? I was told. Okay.
I apologize.
I apologize.
I told her.
And that's the thing, obviously.
And then Kelsey for it. You grabbed my arm and
I gotcha.
I didn't feel well.
I gotcha. And at the same time, you have to see where we're coming from.
I
You
know.
show up to this, you see me coming, you jump in the car, you started flipping me off and laughing.
No, I was.
Yeah, but regardless. And then when we tell you to stop and get out of the car, and then you just want to say, no, I'm not. And then even
There you go.
out here, it was just, and she was here, and she's telling you to get out of the car, and you're not getting out of the car. You know what I mean? So,
There you go.
He's submissive.
gotcha.
There was a missing person in the investigation, and that was a kid named Dave, who importantly seemed to have started an entire altercation. The woman said earlier that if she didn't intervene, most likely, Dave would have
I don't know.
gotten physical with the manager.
But I just subscribed to you like you asked.
Because he's a young kid and I knew he would like fight or get in trouble.
Like sticking up.
And so I just thought me mouthing off.
My damn PC
So I
keeps
jumped up,
crashing,
mouthed off or whatever.
so I gotta keep
And then
refreshing the
He
page.
like told us to leave. So as we're like
got, like,
leaving,
Too much shit going on in this poor little PC.
And
Can't
then
handle
when
it.
I came back over and like where the bar where we were
Let's see.
sitting,
That's done. So I'm gonna shut that down.
and I picked up the plastic thing.
That should hopefully increase the horsepower.
Special
Yeah, it's got the little keys with the menu and the drinks and stuff.
like threw it across on the table like, all right.
And they find the purse.
No problem there, little buddy.
Yeah, and then so then when we came out, everybody's like, let's leave or whatever. The guy was being ridiculous.
Trust me, I
I
know how hard it is to get subs.
But the manager here was just doing his job. and the
I'm
other
still on my
diners there
road
were just
to
trying enjoy
1,000.
the meal. Sadly for this woman, it wasn't just her word against the managers. The cops were shown surveillance footage of the entire incident.
It's hard to see. So she was at the main bar, or the bar, but so she comes over here, you can see her. I'm right here. I'm asking the leaves, throws it at me.
I'm sorry, I totally reacted. You grab me.
Just about fucking done.
We were teasing earlier today. I was speeding ticket for going 38 and 30. It was on a military base. I mouth off. I do run my mouth, but I was so afraid that he
Welcome back.
was going to get in a fight with the guy.
After talking to the manager, it was clear that Dave was the aggressor, and the family, of course, took his side automatically. But as a matter of fact, this entire incident could have been easily avoided.
And I asked the son, because they took all the chairs from the bar. I said, hey, you guys going to use these chairs? We're waiting for a table. Because there were two guests that walked up and they took the chairs away. So the son goes, well, we're waiting for a table. I said, okay, that's cool. These people like a seat. So
No problem, buddy.
He started cussing at me. He started getting mad. I said, like this. Oh, good. That's not my bar. I was just asking if these people would chairs. So I got up and gave him a chairs back. So then he flipped out and the son was like, I said, bro, get out of here. He said, I'm not. I said, you're going to leave right now. So then he keeps going. Then he decides to go out the side door. Fight you right now. I said, okay, let's go outside. So he runs out the side door. That's when I just locked the side door. She comes over to me and starts screaming in my face before the entire restaurant. Screaming at me for no reason. So
then when we were sitting out here waiting, and the guys were coming back in looking for my purse or whatever, my daughter was just laying on the horn. Oh, yeah. So I said, they're just being obnoxious. Yeah.
I have to lay down. My fucking back is killing me.
Oh, nothing's going to happen. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to talk. So then, and again, I will talk about it, pressure charges. Yeah, I will. So, we go construction. I was going to do disorderly, but I was going to do battery. And the lower disorderly, I'm not going to hit it.
All right, 1 second.
Ultimately, the reason why the manager called police was his family's sense of entitlement. The woman realized, probably for the first time in her life, that her obnoxious behavior had consequences. When the manager came over to trespass the woman, she continued harassing him.
Okay, everything's said down. I'm going to go ahead and just let you know you're over.
Oh, don't you worry, and you're not the owner, so quit calling yourself the owner.
Thank you.
Yeah, quit.
All right. On the road to 50.
That's fine. Yeah.
The first 100 is always the hardest. Trust me.
Okay. But thank you.
Yeah. Mine can have a feel like I want now.
Yes, and she stays with me.
I'm glad I could help.
Wait, my daughter's in
Yes, ma'am. Yeah, I already swam it to Dawn.
I had to lay down. My freaking back is killing me right now.
Working in might take an hour or two, but then you've never been in trouble before.
Fucking hate getting old.
Well, because of, one, there's the charge of obstruction, which is for you not listening to our commands without a vehicle. Yeah, for him, take it directly in the chest.
No, I didn't. It was
Right? So,
They charged the woman with simple battery.
Fortunately, I'm almost done getting around the outer ring. Then I just gotta stitch up these massive holes.
In Illinois, a restaurant called a female customer started disturbance.
I literally ripped the crotch out of these. And the previous pair y'all saw me working on, I completely ripped the ass out of them when I bent over at work to pick up, it was a 50-pound rug. I bent down and the next thing here is just rip. And when my coworkers point out to me, hey man, you know your pants are ripped? Yes, I know!
That sounds amazing. Okay, let's set up.
I was there, I heard it.
Okay, I'll set up. They're going to hear it different and they're going to tell you something else. Well, that's why I'm talking to you outside. No, I'll be outside. You talk to him. I'll talk to you. Lady information. All right, let's go outside. Come on. What's going on today? What happened? I didn't hear something about it.
Just started work. Yeah, it is, buddy.
Okay. No, we're not. They don't want you inside.
Alright. This thread is done.
When the incident happened, it was 11:52
Time to
an unusual time for cops to be called to a bar. All the other patrons there looked uneasy about her presence and clearly wanted her gone. When the officer tried to piece together what had happened, the suspect just derailed the conversation.
And you know what happened? What? The whole
situation? What are you upset
What
about?
is, I don't know what is, I don't know what it is. I didn't call the police.
Okay, he said you were yelling. What were you yelling about?
You have to talk to him. I don't know why he called.
So, my partner's gonna go in there and talk.
You should do it because girls have better ears. And it's gonna sound real stupid the way he says it. There's already a complaint with the bar manager from 2 days ago.
What's the
A
complaint?
2-page letter. You can explain it to you, or you can text the bar manager or ask him to text.
Okay, so what's gonna happen is I'm gonna talk to you. He's gonna talk to them.
I'll be right here. I have nothing to say. I didn't call the police.
Okay, can I see your ID?
I don't know.
Okay.
What's your name?
I'm gonna sit down. I didn't file a complaint, so.
I need your name.
Oh, I understand. I'm gonna sit down on that log.
After I get your name.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna sit down and get that.
Okay, perfect.
All right, perfect.
What's your first name?
I didn't file any complaint, so I don't know what the complaint is, but.
Give me 1 second. I gotta focus on this part.
He said he's willing to sign complaints. He just wanted her help right now.
You ask for money.
You want to go and see what's going on.
Make sure you talk to the old guy who's right in front of the door.
Yeah. The one
Because nobody calls the cops at bars. That guy's a.
Alright, what's your first name?
I will not call the police, and I will not tell. Period.
You don't want to give me your name?
No.
Okay.
The woman kept telling the officers that they shouldn't trust the bartender's side of the story, but she refused to say anything herself. Also raising suspicion was her refusal to provide ID. Inside the bar, the barman explained to the officer his account of what happened.
God damn it, come on.
This lady, apparently, somebody in the bar gave her phone. She worked out her own van, apparently. Somebody in the bar gave her phone number to somebody. Ended up calling her, and she's one of us.
I'll get them fixed, babe, don't worry.
Something not right now. She's blaming people are stalking her, this and that, this and that. I don't know what the hell's wrong here. I told her to leave 3 times. She's
Next summer, I've got a project I gotta do when I gotta take 3 sweatshirts. I'm gonna make a parka out of them. It's one of the many downsides of being freaking huge. And you can't afford big and talls.
Apparently causing a scene, I guess, inside. Apparently you were being very vulgar with that woman.
That's why.
You were saying a lot of obscenities.
So what? That's how it gets out.
Well, this is a private business. If they don't want you in there,
So what about it?
you're no longer welcome back.
Oh no, I'm so sad.
The bartender suggested that she might have illness. There was also a pretty good chance she was under the influence too. However, while talking to the officers, she did give a pretty good reason why she was so concerned that other people had her number without her consent.
I got a phone call from this woman who nobody has.
Usually one of the biggest insults you can ever give a big person. Yeah, sorry about that. One of the biggest insults you can ever give a big person is, why don't you shop at Big and Tall's? To which I've always responded with, are you going to play it for me?
The bar manager. And he was like, he knows me. I come in here, I order food on my days off. Super chill, I mind my business. The 2 old guys know me, not Mr. Polo. I own it.
No, I don't do Discord.
You all have daughters. I got stopped in broad daylight this week for 30 minutes on my way home. Period. And I said, just.
The weekend's about my only days off where I actually have time to actually do anything.
This woman got my phone number somehow, and I want to know who is the job. Period. That's all I'm saying. Free to go? Free to go? Oh, you don't want to hear about my stalker? Or the woman who got my phone number somehow in the bar and then calls me? I've got 3 random phone calls harassing me in the last 3 days, and I've been telling my friends, and I have streamer phones. Yeah. Well, that's not what I asked. I want to file
The cops here were
Yeah, trust me, little buddy.
but also needed
Growing up
to away from the
sucks.
bar. As a private business, the
The best advice I can give you right now is to stay in school.
Since the woman wanted to press charges,
And if you
the cops
decide to go to
asking
college,
questions.
know exactly what you want to study before you get there. Because college is a leech that cannot be removed from your wallet for years. Or you can just skip the financial BS and go into trade school. Electrician, plumber. I know plumbers get a bad reputation, but they make a lot of money. Also, Jumpman Mario's a plumber.
I'll walk to the police
And he's famous.
Did you hear what I said? I've been beaten and harassed, unconscious.
That's fine. We're about to take the report as long as you provide the microphone.
I have it right here.
Okay, I'll take one.
You want 3 or 4? Pen and paper. I'm ready when you are.
Come on. There we go.
I just need your driver's license.
Are you sure you want this credit card?
I'll take your driver's license.
With my name on it?
Ah.
You want this veggie card?
True. Yeah.
I'll tell you.
Tell me your names.
Absolutely. Are you listening to the words?
At the end of the day, it is your future. At the end of the day, it is your future. So do whatever makes you happy. But please, for the love of God, do not get a liberal arts degree and do not get an English major. That's not going to get you anywhere in life. Go study STEM. Go study computer engineering. Go be a mechanic. Those jobs are always in demand. Trust me, working a back-breaking, labor-intensive job for a company that treats you like shit is not living.
As they continued talking with the woman, she continued getting more aggravated. She claimed to have reported incidents that happened to her in the past, but it seems like she misunderstood what it means to report something.
I illegally obtained my telephone number and giving it to men, and then I got stopped less than 24 hours later. I have a witness. I reported it.
Where'd you report it at?
To my friends, and it's reported in text.
So did you report it to a police department?
I came here today to finish recording all the things that have been happening to me. These men know.
Where did it all happen? Your town.
Please talk about it. She was in 2 years old.
I don't have children, thank God.
Nobody's talking to you.
Lady, you're free.
Lady man.
You gotta leave.
Please talk to the bar manager.
No.
It's a real thing.
Well, for that, I can only give you some advice that my dad gave me, and I took it to heart a long time ago. Condoms are cheaper than diapers.
So by reporting something, she simply meant she told her friends about it. In America, it's not illegal to share someone's phone number unless it's done.
Don't ever forget that.
To harass or stalk someone. Therefore, if she could prove intent, potentially, she could press charges. In the meantime, the cops still had to get this woman off the premises.
Are you gonna leave the property, ma'am?
Is he escalating or escalating?
Okay. Go ask him to sign for first.
Yeah. Shut up. Are you literally?
I asked you what the time was. You don't want to tell me.
That's what I just said. Well, back to you. You have a daughter?
Sure.
You have a sister? You don't have a sister? Tell him what I said. It's traumatic repeating times.
Yeah, okay. Stand up, man. You're under arrest.
Let's go. I'll be in here forever. Don't be here. No. I'm not fighting you. I just got from my bed. Just look at
Hey.
Yeah, relax. Give me my name.
What's that supposed to mean?
That's my property. That's my property.
You're also going to arrest you.
What's that supposed to mean? To put it quite simply, you can get condoms for free or up to $5. Diapers are anywhere from $15 to $20. So even if you're not physically buying the diapers, you're still giving child support. You're still technically buying them.
Get them cuffs. Make sure they're tight enough so you don't get out of them.
Make them real dang tight. Make them tighter. Make them real tight. Come on. Make them all the way tight. That's so fucking wild. That's so fucking wild. This fucking wild. I hate women. What the? Tell your boss right. I'm not even looking myself. Oh my god, I'm talking. You turn the air on, please? Appreciate it. Thanks a lot, buddy.
The woman was given misdemeanor charges of resisting arrest, criminal trespassing, and obstructing an officer.
You deserve the best. At Harbor Freight, you can afford it. Performance, durability, affordability. Only one place does it all. Whatever you do it for less at Harbor Freight.
Good luck, buddy. Like I said, the first 100's always the hardest. The first 1,000's even harder.
2024, in Ohio, cops were dispatched to a Mexican restaurant where a customer was yelling at diners, one of whom was a small child.
He's up at the restaurant. Which one? Over there. Anybody know her? Does anybody know her? Hey, over here.
How you doing tonight?
Where's your ID? It ain't on me. It ain't on me. You need to stay over there right for this time. It ain't on me. Turn around. It ain't on me. Turn around.
I've already been to your channel.
Talk to me. I'm hurt.
I've seen your content.
You need to turn down. They button in the conversation that ain't about it.
More along the lines of vlog posting. I don't really do much vlogging.
They need to worry about themselves.
The suspect, later identified as
I'm trying to get
got extremely angry.
Trying to get into it.
Allegedly, other diners listened in on her conversation. When the officer spoke to her, she talked in a very bizarre manner, and the officer wondered if she was fully conscious of just what was going on.
They need to eat their meal and mind their damn business.
If you want, you can post a link to your channel in the chat.
Anyone else can see the Lord. Anybody else can see the Lord. I only believe in the Lord. Anybody else can see the Lord, brother? You got any other questions? Not your brother, first of all. Yeah, you're not my brother, are you? I don't speak pig Latin. You know that? I don't speak pig Latin. Conscious of where you're at right now? Yes. I'm at a Mexican restaurant in BG, Ohio.
Okay, where are you from?
I live here.
Okay, what's your name?
BG, Ohio. Corinne Nicole Bryant.
Okay, what's your date of birth? Nice to meet you. Can you stop yelling at me?
I ain't mad at you.
I know you're mad at me. Can you stop yelling at me?
Oh, okay. I ain't mad at you.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
What's going on?
She was starting other shit. It's over there, so I can get it for you. I promise, I ain't starting no shit.
The woman's strange pattern of speech and those bulging eyes suggested she might be under the influence. And as a matter of fact,
No, I have not actually had time to actually watch any of your content. I've only noticed it falls more under the style of vlogging.
They need to take that kid and get the BG bitch.
You realize that you're yelling at people.
I don't care.
You're...
I'm not belligerent. I ain't threatening nobody. And they kids.
Just don't become a nuisance streamer.
They could. Anybody can see the Lord. You can see the Lord.
And,
Got any other questions?
what the hell is his name?
Better proceed with them.
Logan Paul.
So you're upset because they...
No, he's the freaking one that smashed his McLaren in the rain.
Goddamn business.
Jack Doherty, that's just...
Goddamn business.
Don't inspire to be the next Jack Doherty.
It was just not their goddamn business. No. It was just not their goddamn business.
Corinne failed to recognize just how unreasonable her behavior had been. Her friends seemed to be much more calm and might be a much more reliable source when it came to recounting what really happened.
She obviously isn't going to tell me, but
use any kind of recreational drugs or anything like that? Like, just looking at her, I don't know anything about what she does. I just know I drink.
Yeah, they are. And they come and they go.
Does she have anything to drink? I don't. Like, since you've been here, I walked off my scoop, went over with her to come up and get food. So, yeah, it's. I don't really, she would be here. I don't.
The trick is, dude, you gotta stay the course.
49. So her apartment number, she's like 39.
Keep doing what you like doing, and people will follow.
She was clearly going to be charged with disorderly conduct. Soon after, the cops spoke to the family she was shouting at. Given that she might have threatened a child, she might be facing some serious charges.
Yes, my daughter said that while we were all talking, she happened to look over there, and then the woman went like that to my daughter. My daughter said she just looked away. And then we were just talking, and I just happened to look over, and then I think she was saying something. She kept going, "You want my conversation?" Oh, you want my conversation? And so she kept going over. She was like, "What's going on?" And my mom thought she was mad. She looked at me, and I was like, and then she just started nobody said anything to me. It happened.
And I was real close to a gentle bear crawl just away because she was like, she didn't want to speak.
So like when we got here, she was basically talking about the conversation. Was she making any threats or anything? Or
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, depends on how you legally define it. What she kept saying was, "Are you going to drop me? Are you going to drop me?" Which to me is not a direct threat.
All right, man. If you gotta go to bed, go to bed.
Well, hold on. Give me one thing for right now that was a threat. What did she say?
She goes,
"You're going to drop me."
"You're going to drop me."
So anybody else remember that? I need something more an active voice.
You're going to drop me.
Yeah.
Asking these strangers if they were going to drop her may not count as a direct threat, but in Ohio, it would still qualify as menacing. That means, even without an outright threat, you could still be charged if someone really believes that you intend to cause them physical harm. They also asked the woman if she had any recreational drugs.
I'm not high on anything. You're just assuming things. Don't make an ass out of me and you, brother.
You're screaming.
Don't make an ass out of me and you, brother.
Well, you're the one making it about yourself, right?
Assuming things will make an ass out of me and you. Don't assume.
That's why I'm asking.
Don't assume. Don't assume. Don't assume.
That's why I'm asking.
Don't assume then. You're high and drunk on something.
Don't ask.
You're high and drunk on something. Now what? You know reverse. Now what?
I don't see a car.
What are you high and drunk on?
What am I high and drunk on? Nothing. Let me ask you a question.
And I'm asking you a question. What are you high and drunk on?
Nothing.
Nothing? Because you're clocked in. Smart, brother.
The reality was there could be more at play than just intoxication, and the cause of this behavior could be mental illness. One way of getting to the bottom of things was to test her for drugs at the station, and somehow she was open to being tested.
You gotta test me at BD and it's gonna get real awkward.
Like that.
Because all I have is skin alcohol in my system. Skin alcohol, that's it. And it's legal here, right? I am. I'm 23.
He's canceling his food order. Yeah, he was talking about it. Can you grab your phone before it falls out of your pocket? Yeah.
I knew this was gonna happen.
Do you have anything else in your pockets? What's in your pocket here?
I don't know, brother.
You don't know? We got it.
I know, brother.
Well, what's that look for?
That's it.
Repeat. I'm not gonna lie about it.
I look here, body cam. I don't give a
Hey, hold on.
I'll freak you out. I don't give a I ain't doing nothing wrong. That's my house key.
Okay.
I ain't doing a goddamn thing wrong, brother.
Get it in your pocket?
Not a goddamn thing wrong. I'm just getting arrested. Yeah.
You got what?
Friend getting arrested. Friend Nicole Bryant.
Corinne's mood suddenly changed from being violently angry at a restaurant to being pretty much casual about being arrested. However, unfortunately for Corinne, a table nearby recorded the incident, so it'll be very difficult for the woman to beat these charges.
Are you gonna drop me? Are you gonna drop me? Which one of y'all are drunk?
happens. Yo.
Outside the restaurant, her friend was asking for an update. As her neighbor, he knew there was something strange about her, but he never expected she'd violently attack someone.
I've never seen her hit. I've never seen her. She's all apart. Right. She don't bite yet, but yeah, there was a small girl up there at that table that was completely frightened. Right. I was really thought about that because, like, she was a pretty little girl. Right. She was, and you could tell she'd never done anything wrong in her life, and she was frightened as shit about whatever the hell. She came over there and started screaming, but. Well, yeah, and that, I mean, that's why she's in jail, but, I mean, I don't know, man, I don't know what to say. I know we've had interactions with her, and she's been acting similar. My guess is she's on something right now, because she had indicators of being under the influence of a narcotic, so, that'd be my guess, man.
Corinne was charged with disorderly conduct and menacing. When she appeared in court, they dismissed the menacing charge and found her guilty of disorderly conduct. They gave her 30 days of jail with 28 days suspended and gave her 2 years probation. She also got a fine of $280. On the 19th of November, 2023, in Georgia, the cops got a report about a disorder in a restaurant, including a woman assaulting a customer. When the officers arrived, the suspect was outside the restaurant, visibly upset and shouting.
This man put his hands on me. Look at his video. I was talking to another man. And my coworker. We had been here for 2 hours. Okay, we were conversating perfectly fine. Then another man come over there and he say, "It's me and my girl's anniversary. Can you come down?" He put his hands on me and everything. But they want to kick me out. I gotta spend more than $50. And he's still sitting there. That's what I'm pissed off about. Because that's a whole human man. I'm a woman. But y'all didn't have respect for this woman. You kicked a woman out over a man that put his hands on me. He pushed me. It's on that video.
I'm asking you. I'm not asking about video.
I don't even have my video. I don't even have the rest of my key.
While being asked to quiet down may have been offensive to her, she was clearly inebriated and being very loud. She also thought she deserved preferential treatment because she'd spent $50 at the restaurant. The cop had to investigate this physical altercation and determine which party was in the wrong.
I asked you a question. You didn't answer my question. No, I have, baby. No, you didn't. I told you everything. I told you. I asked you to describe the pushing. How hard? Pushed me back. Because we were all standing up. I think there's probably 4 of us right here.
How hard?
And what he did was, no, take the back. This is me and my wife's anniversary. This is what happened. The video, you can see everything. Yes. I said I was already standing. I was already standing.
Where's your partner? Your person you're here with?
They left. I told her to leave. She's not co-working. We got off of work at 3 o'clock. We've been here since 3:40. Since 3:40, we've been here. They came in probably about 15 minutes ago. Him and his wife, or whatever, their anniversary, they're celebrating, which is understandable. I don't have no problem with you, celebrating your.
The woman's version of events was highly incoherent, and the inebriated state she was in made her highly unreliable. Her biggest claim was that her husband had pushed her. The officer then got the couple's side of the story, and they were understandably upset that their wedding anniversary had been ruined.
How y'all doing? Probably not good. So tell me, what happened? So, boy, all of this. She's being loud when y'all think that. Crazy. I mean, to the point where a lot of times you wouldn't even speak up because, people get crazy. Yeah. But it was to allow to be like, nobody doing it. But then, for a minute, he said, let me do it in the lightest way so I can smile me and my wife. And I thought I had her since my wife's anniversary. Right. I thought she was going to be, she had another friend because she felt so I she said, I said, I bet you won't touch me.
What is man? I even asked you about the pineapple.
You guys over here, but we got real fast.
Both parties felt like the video evidence would show what really happened. The female suspect said the man from the couple had pushed her.
Yo, how y'all doing tonight?
That she'd struck him and charged at his wife. Another officer at the scene made several serious remarks about the suspect's behavior.
Hopefully, you're having a better Saturday night than me.
I even asked you about the pineapple drink, right? I have to disrespect y'all. No, baby, go ahead and disrespect me and put me in jail if you want to. But I even asked you guys, what is the pineapple drink? How much does it cost? They said $18. That's fine, baby. That's fine. I even let my co-worker know. Because I haven't done anything wrong. That man pushed me.
They detained the woman as her belligerent behavior was detrimental to the investigation. At that point, they were going to charge the woman with disorderly conduct, and she could also face battery charges if the couple pursued them.
I know you told him, first told him, so I got her detained. You want to play charges?
Damn it.
She already gonna go for disorderly conduct, right? We do first. Our God was we got disorderly conduct. She was. So I really got to do that way. I ain't got to do nothing that way. You know what I mean? Got to do all that. If you can't, then hell yeah, it's not bad. But there you go. We'll take that.
There we go. Hey, on that happens. Gotta get this done. Gotta get this done. Gotta get this done.
Because she was drunk, other underlying factors might have played a role. At the station, she was seen foaming from the mouth and claimed to be suffering from seizures. Furthermore, she also claimed to be a domestic.
How's your night going?
I have to pee. I'm pissed on myself. I'm pissed on myself already. I banged my head against the wall. I told you guys I gotta pee. I just gotta pee. Sergeant, you want to hear my story? No. You need to go to the restroom. He said no, but you, what about you? You're above him. You need to go to the restroom. I gotta pee. I told you so I can take the handcuffs off. See how he feels so mean to me? But these is all men. These is all men, and I've been abused by nothing but men my whole fucking life.
They charged the woman with disorderly conduct, and she was trespassed from the property. On the 18th of March, 2025, the cops were called about an unruly male customer at a bar. And this guy was the male equivalent of the infamous Karen.
cam on?
Yep.
My family, people that insult them. My family.
So you don't have money to pay your tab?
Ukrainian, Polish, German, Slovenian.
Let me get this straight. You don't have money to pay your tab? Is that what you're saying?
The city's Germany. Peaceland, Germany. I'm Jason Abraham. Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
We'll take care of your tab in just a minute. Let me get around here. Let's go. Let's go.
Best boss you ever had.
Jason was clearly intoxicated, and he was spouting gibberish. As a power move, he then decided to mention that he was the son of millionaires. But this only strengthened the argument that he should be able to pay his bill. However, in the earlier part of the footage, Jason was seen holding a big black bag, suggesting he might be homeless.
What's your name here?
Keep walking.
Cornell?
I said keep walking.
Cessio. Hey, don't be too pushy.
Stop. You ready?
I do not. Jason Abraham. Poland, Germany, Slovenia, and Ukraine.
What is your last name?
It means Peaceland.
Date of birth.
Edwin said he knocked me out, by the way. He said I'm gonna knock you out. I'm on body cam on? Hold on. Edwin, get Edwin on the camera. He said he was gonna knock my out. My family's millionaires. He said he was gonna knock my out. Dad, Mom, no, we get all the hours. You understand?
Roll one by me, please.
Knock my out. The manager of the restaurant.
Common spelling, last name.
And a celebratory holiday. This is awful. Absolutely awful.
Last name.
Okay.
Don't be scared.
It's not pretty, but I just got from here to here, then do one from here to here, and then stitch down the holes.
Potentially intoxicated, Jason could also be mentally unwell. However,
and I'll be done.
Were at risk due to his behavior, and he might be facing a charge of disorderly conduct. Also, if you fail to pay your bar tab, it could lead to a criminal charge of defrauding an innkeeper.
Stop.
Get at it. Edwin of E.R. Bradley.
Wait, listen, this is what we're gonna do. If you want to make a show, we're gonna go over here and add it at the front of the restaurant. Go. Have a seat. Sit down.
I'm not. You're gonna have to take. I'm not sitting down like some punk. I'm the most. Look at me. I'm 120 pounds right now.
Okay.
If he bothers you, I'll knock this out.
You're
Same with
bothering
him.
me.
I don't care. I protect women. I got a twin sister. And I'm not married, but I know the girl I want to marry. I've had billionaire restaurant guys trying to have sex. I don't f with guys. I hang out with girls. I have parties. I'm the only guy, 20 girls. That's it. Always, everyone has a good time.
Jason, do you have money for this bill?
They have offended me.
I didn't ask that.
I'm suing them.
So you're
Oh, you're not going.
No, you're gonna pay your bill.
I'm gonna sue them.
What do you guys want to do if you pay your bill?
We got the van. Just pass. You're getting sued. You're getting sued. You should be like advocating for me, because you're siding with him, right? You're not saying nothing. He has the right to plead the Fifth Amendment, right?
The way Jason was hunched over is common among drug users and might help explain his behavior. However, the body cam footage doesn't provide anything conclusive in that regard. What the footage does show is Jason trying to talk to his dad through the body cam.
That's our body cam, Dad. Dad, you
Gotta go to the bathroom, be right back.
Dad, you don't know.
Sorry about that. I had to go to the bathroom.
How happy I am right now. You know, I'm not sure. What's your name? Conchesio. Conchesio. Oh, beautiful. Yeah, Officer Conchesio, she deserves a pay raise because she's taking the whole
Slide to the left. Slide to the right.
Seal it with a slide. It still tracks you in incognito mode. Use DuckDuckGo, a real private browser. This is Buick now. Buick.
That's gonna
Exceptional
suck.
by design. Get 0.9% APR on these 2025 Buick models. Plus, current eligible non-GM members get up to $3,000 allowance on Encore GX.
Ain't just staring at us. Not gonna get it fucking
Introducing
done.
Transfusion Extra Strength 5-hour energy shot. This limited edition shot is based on the classic golf beverage with the taste of grape.
So I'm running on 3, but I'm
Was that an idea?
Nope. Super.
When they talked to the manager, the cops learned about the worrying behavior that he displayed toward the bartender. And that's what prompted the manager to call the police.
Really quieter than this. He started to notice random rants and stuff like that inside at the bar, and then he was trying to give some notes to the bartender. The bartender completely walked out of the bar. He told her not to go back, and then we approached her down there and kind of told her, you know, you can either pay your tab, leave happy, or I'm going to call the cops. And he refused, started going off, same thing. We walked down the street, she came down, assisted, and this is where we're at.
You understand? Now, let me read you your rights. You have the right to like me. You don't like this, I'm going to give you some money. You don't like my money, I'm going to give you a back massage, like my dad. Bruce, you don't know this one. You don't like my back massage, I will sing you a song. Like my daddy used to do to me. When he gave me up to the Klan, Mein Kampf, Bruce, you don't love this one, Mein Kampf? My daddy sold me to the Klan at a roofing company. He sold me to get kidnapping. No, Bruce, you don't walk away.
Ultimately, Jason here was being formally trespassed from the bar. The manager of the bar had to weigh his options. If he decided not to press charges, there was a risk the man could come back later that day.
Because we can trespass him and I can get him out of here. If he comes back tonight, we'll arrest him on trespass. I want to go for that. And if we press charges on this, it becomes a whole quarter on it, right? Right. So, yeah, okay, perfect. Right now? Okay, perfect. Alright. What's going on?
Before I speak to you, let me look at you.
Before I speak to you, I'm going to read your right. You're going to stand up and come back my door. Don't forget my badge. Okay. Not easy on the genital.
Thankfully, Jason didn't try to hit anyone
Hey, how's it going?
whatsoever. However, he continued making threatening statements that all seemed to come from his incredibly disorientated mind.
Easy, easy. You don't want to get hit. If you hit me on the head right now, you might not live tomorrow. Might not live. That's what I thought. No. Yeah, we'll share really quick, so you can just go ahead. Step out really quick.
1981 from the door.
Step out really quick. Step out. It's torture. I'm from Miami.
Stop moving, please. I don't want you to.
The whole function. This is a whole function.
Here.
They once broke my wrist with crossbones. I don't know what.
is so lenient also.
Jason was trespassed and was further charged with defrauding an innkeeper.
All right.
On April 29th, 2021, in Florida, the cops responded to an airport Burger King where there was a heated exchange between a man and a woman. Upon arrival, the cops first spoke to the man.
Liar. Oh, I was waiting on that too. I said, well, you want me at the game. But she's skipping my back on me, so I just for my kids. Okay, for my family. For her needs, so I disrespect her neighbors. In front of my kids, okay, talking both of them. Like, just what it is, but she came off the road, she started talking like, look, this is my face, this is not, this is not. See, stop.
She was in the over here. This man is totally on drugs.
She's in my
This man is on drugs.
That's fine.
This man is totally on drugs. So y'all let that fly. What do you think?
Back up.
All right. Gotta get this damn thing done. Feel free to say hi in the chat. I do try to respond as they come in.
There was a very stark contrast between the man and the woman, which might suggest that she was the primary instigator. And sadly for this woman, not staying calm and cooperative meant she was at risk of missing her flight.
Are you guys going to let them fly?
The incident occurred at the Spirit Airlines terminal, and under their terms and conditions, customers can be denied boarding if they're disorderly, abusive, violent, or their conduct creates an unreasonable risk of offense or annoyance to other guests. Another officer spoke to the man once again, who was sent to board his flight shortly.
All right.
I said, ma'am, we're in line here. She came over there for something. I said, excuse me, ma'am, we're in line here. She said, oh, no, I was in line. I said, ma'am, I was in line. You're all here. Oh, yes, I was. I stepped out and came back in. I said, well, you weren't. And she just like, no, she said that to me. So my two kids are home, so I finally started walking away. And she just kept it on like, so you see how that goes on. And just showed up. Just now. And now we have the Bible. The simply hated all that. They said, so I left her home, and I came back over here. You know? So my wife wanted to get up to my daughter to go there, get some food, and then started her like, what are you looking at? Sorry. And when I tried to go there and ask what was going on, my wife asked the cashier, she started saying, oh, they got in our face. I'm like, hey, that's
Despite cutting the line and starting a scene from nothing, the female suspect seemed incredibly confused as to why the airline did not want her up on a plane 30,000 feet in the air. And unfortunately, it led to a full-blown argument in front of a terminal full of passengers. to leave, but not without causing a scene. The woman with the pigtails still had food ordered from Burger King and saw someone filming her on his phone. And that's when she decided to lash out once again. Since the incident took place in a public airport, the man wasn't acting illegally while recording her on his phone. While being escorted out of the terminal, they continued playing the victims and saying the cops were being racist.
Okay. That video has finished uploading. Give me 1 second. And minimize.
So far, the woman in the green sweater had been the quietest of them all. However, when being asked to step back, suddenly, she outperformed all of her friends in being loud and obnoxious.
Hey, back up. Back up. You're going to get it on there. Back up.
The cops eventually got them all under control, and the women involved got disorderly conduct charges.
Value having a partner is huge. Finding someone you can trust is what really builds the business from the base.
On the 3rd of April, 2025, in Ohio, the cops were called after a drunken woman refused to leave a restaurant. She'd also left her car running, which was blocking the street outside.
Thank you. See if they want 80.
She's too much drinking?
Yeah.
Did she pull in like that?
They hope it.
Did she just park her car like that? Or she Ma'am? Ma'am? What's your name?
Hi.
Well, your car is parked there, not in a stall. You're just kind of in the roadway.
What car?
The dealer car out there? Is that not your vehicle?
Which car?
The gray Buick right here. Is that your vehicle?
I'm not driving it right now.
What are you driving? So that's not your car right there? So you're fine with them towing the vehicle then? Because you're not parked legally. Is that your vehicle, yes or no? Okay, where's your ID at? Because is that your vehicle, yes or no? You want me to go a different path? You want to come out with me and see? You don't know what you drove here?
The officer noticed the car had dealership tags, meaning it might be a rental. However, The suspect here, Danica, also said she worked for a dealership, so she might have been using the car for personal use. And most alarmingly of all, she was seriously drunk.
One more time. Her brother?
Yeah, I think that's what she said.
Okay, well, either way, I mean, it's heartburn, so they have the right to tell it.
That's up to them, not up to you.
That's what I just said. Were you driving that?
No.
Okay. Do you have a ride home?
Yeah, I definitely have to drive home.
Okay, well, where's your brother at?
Not here. Obviously, or he would be confronting you.
Did he drive you here? And just left the car like that? So who has the car?
Who called the car in?
It's anonymous. But I'm saying, where did the car come from?
Obviously,
the dealership. But who has it? Who's in custody of the car from the dealership?
She's automotive.
Okay, who's renting the car? Are you paying for the dealership car or is your brother?
Alright, I gotta check that. Make sure I can pull this out.
The cop had to check whether the restaurant had cameras.
Okay, I
that might
didn't
have
pull up
captured
the
the woman
thing,
as she was exiting the vehicle, and she suddenly got a phone call from the owner of the vehicle.
Oh, here's the owner.
Okay. Is that the owner? What cameras?
Inside, she's not high.
So did a guy get over that vehicle?
I don't know, she's in bed. He's just coming to break. I don't know.
Okay, so are you wanting it home? Huh? No, you're
No. So why did you show up if she don't want the car towed?
We got a call here.
From who?
Like I said, that's anonymous. Like I said, it's anonymous.
Anonymous.
But we still have to do our job and check it out, yes.
Hey, how yours night going? Sorry, how is your night going?
Yeah, are you okay with the car being there then?
The movie.
So you don't want the car towed, are you okay with it sitting there? No. So what's the, okay, it's just, we can't tow off private property, and I don't know who the driver is, she's okay. Okay, I'm trying to find the vehicle on it, because I pulled up and it's just sitting like that, right? They pointed to her, she's a human service.
The caller sounded furious and demanded to know what she was up to. However, there was still no proof that she'd driven the car to the restaurant. Ultimately, the cops wanted Danica to leave the restaurant, and she clearly shouldn't be driving, so they decided to arrest her.
No, it's not fine? Okay, well she's saying no, it's not fine. You know, I'm staying here.
It's not fine. The owner of the they are saying they just need a dude.
What's your name? Looking Fox in the truck and put some business. You don't even give us their name.
Danica was loaded in the backseat of a squad car. While the cops went through her possessions, her phone rang once again, and the anonymous owner of the vehicle was back on the line.
Hello? This officer yeah, this is Officer with the Philadelphia Police Department. Is this the vehicle owner?
Yes, what's going on? What is going on? Hello?
Yep, give me a second.
Hello, I can't hear nothing. Hello? It's gone.
Inside the squad car, it was explained to Danica that one of her crimes was failing to provide ID when suspected of a crime. By this point, the cop was so frustrated with Danica that when she gave her real name, the officer assumed she was lying.
What did I do? You refuse to ID yourself.
My name is David.
Don't lie.
Don't lie. What the? My name is David.
You're right. It is. I got your ID right here.
Yeah, she's my money. Love. That is who I work for. That is who this life is from. So what am I under arrest for?
I just told you.
I wasn't driving.
You're not in trouble for driving.
So what am I under arrest for? Like what the? I have an 8-year-old son. Like what the? Am I under arrest?
You're going to be held at the jail for disorderly buying talks.
Disorderly intox? What the? Disorderly intox. That's what you're arresting me for? Guys, experiencing.
Luckily for her, in Ohio, disorderly intoxication is a minor misdemeanor, and it's usually punishable by a small fine. While waiting in the car, her phone rang again, and this time around, she gave a few more details about the mystery car owner.
If that's my boyfriend, I would appreciate it if you asked him to go me the foul because I have a foot. And you know you can't get all his cars out without him going to the river. But it's what, Thursday?
She seemed to imply that her boyfriend owned the dealership, or at least worked at it, and she had some sort of ownership or access to the cars. When being checked by police, Danica's level of intoxication became increasingly concerning.
This is your citation, your minor misdemeanor citation, okay? Like we talked about, for disorderly intoxication, you're gonna have court tomorrow at 9 a.m. to look up the municipal court, okay? Just go ahead and sign this, and then we provide a copy, just right there where it says defendant's signature.
Leave out that assignment. No?
It's cool. We're being held because for at least 8 hours.
What?
What's the policy?
Danica was charged with obstruction and disorderly conduct. Generally, restaurants are places where people can relax and enjoy a meal. But sadly, these days, the atmosphere can be soured by entitled Karens. In these cases, we saw how law enforcement efforts and the
Georgia Power's Energy Assistance for Savings and Efficiency program helps eligible income-qualified residential customers make no-cost energy efficiency improvements to their home. Apply today at georgiapower.com/EASE.
It was during this time, which can roughly be placed in the 2000s, when Brian... From being exposed for lying about roids,
I never expected this kind of exposure in the public eye,
to exposing himself for lying about his entire life.
I also made drugs because I knew how to.
All the way to making an attempt on the life of none other than Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan, we don't have to make videos to pretend anymore.
Joe Cohen! The liver King's online career plummeted almost as fast as it rose, and his sanity went along with it. But who is the man behind the liver? Most online personalities prefer to drip feed their following with information about themselves, but Brian has his website front-loaded with an autobiography, going as far as including his height and weight at specific ages. Here, we learn that his father was an airman stationed at a base in San Antonio, Texas, although he passed away when Brian was just 2 years old. Besides inner ear malformations that required surgery and being late to walk and talk, Brian had a pretty normal childhood, being raised by his single mother alongside his older brother. Despite being unable to speak properly in his early childhood, Brian engaged in a variety of activities: baseball, skateboarding, BMX, Boy Scouts, you name it, and he did it. However, his speech impediment required him to regularly attend speech therapy lessons, and it also attracted bullying from other kids. The worst incident of it being when a boy started choking him out in the 4th grade. Right around the same time this incident took place, and possibly influenced by it, Brian's stepfather at the time had a bench press, which allowed Brian to start working out at the young age of 8 years old. However, this wasn't enough to solve Brian's bullying problem, as he continued to be smaller than other kids, and consequently, he was picked on. He claims he had no friends at all and was regularly physically beaten, which I'd advise taking with a grain of salt due to his tendency to exaggerate facts about himself. Whatever the case, in the 6th grade, he claims to have stopped going to the bathroom. Well, I mean, he still had to piss max now and then, but he stopped going to the bathroom at school. And the next year, he also stopped going to the cafeteria, with both of these actions being attempts at exposing himself less to harassment from other students. When that didn't work, he began planning to kill the people who picked on him. This isn't even a joke. He straight up has it on his website that he intended to kill his fellow classmates. Whether he made this up or not, this is a pretty wild thing to admit to, and it's very telling, since later on, he will again try to resort to violence to solve his issues with other people. Fortunately, he never went through with killing his classmates, but he also says that during this time, he got routinely knocked out, up to dozens of times, and no one did anything about it. This is very dubious for a variety of reasons, but what's even more goofy is he follows it up by saying that showing up to school in Guess jeans, a Guess shirt, Red Wing steel-toed boots, and slick back hair solved all of his problems. If you're actually getting bullied and you start dressing like this, it'll probably double your chances of getting stuffed into a trash can, not the other way around. And frankly, I won't even feel bad for you. Unfortunately for Brian, they stole his clothes when he left them in his locker during football practice, and I suppose things went back to normal. I like the idea that other students are like NPCs who will react in a positive or a negative way, depending on what faction's armor you're wearing. In this same section, there's also a non sequitur about there being real gangs with real firearms that operated in his school, which apparently required the attention of the local police department on the regular. Now, I'll be the first to admit that I'm not an expert in organized crime in San Antonio, but given that Liver King lies a lot, the extent to which he describes it here, taking place in his school, is going to get a little bit of skepticism. He claims one of these gangs was called the Kings, which may refer to the Latin Kings, but as far as I can tell, they're not particularly active in San Antonio. I was joking earlier about wearing faction armor, but this guy's middle school is literally Freeside from Fallout New Vegas. Anyway, the Kings apparently set up Brian as the victim of a beatdown, which is when he discovered his inner strength and manhandled the kid that was supposed to attack him. He says that this was the trigger for the transformation of who he was into the Liver King. Come time for high school, and Brian is now jacked out of his mind and has one of his eyebrows shaved for whatever reason. But his plans of dominating high school were foiled when his mom sent him to a different school with no gang activity or fighting, which made his newfound swag completely useless. According to him, because of how different he felt from everyone there, because they were white and preppy, he started a bunch of fights. Because he was, and I quote, raised on boys in the hood and a menace to society. It really shows this guy was born in the 70s, because his metric of looking tough is just basing his identity on black movies. Like, that's supposed to mean something. Eventually, he realized that physically assaulting people who weren't psychotic like him wasn't a very successful strategy. So he adopted their look and became socially accepted again. On one hand, it's funny how much emphasis he puts on just looking like other people as the simple solution to social problems. But at the same time, it's kind of depressing to think that a middle-aged guy is still bragging about picking up chicks in high school because he had a tan. As a matter of fact, a good chunk of this biography consists exclusively of just that. Brian proudly talking about picking up women before, during, and after he graduated from community college. All of it being coded in scammy entrepreneurial language, as if they were great achievements. When he gets around to talking about how he got a job as a pharmaceutical rep, he apparently bragged that he had a six-pack to someone who already had the job as a way to impress them into telling him their trade secrets. I'm under the impression that this isn't meant to be taken literally, but even if it is to be taken figuratively, figuratively, I'm not sure what the takeaway is from this. It's also noticeable that this entire autobiography is riddled with repeated typos and bizarre syntax, like him supposedly starting a conversation with, "I ask if everything is okay." This makes me think he either wrote it himself or paid some Indian guy on Fiverr to do it, because there's no way a professional copywriter or even AI would produce something like this. Regardless, he got a job as a pharmaceutical rep and started making $100,000 a year. And of course, he was still picking up chicks all the time. That is, until he met the liver queen, Barbara, whom he married 7 months after meeting. They had 2 boys, bought a dental practice, which Barbara worked at for many years, and when she retired, they started a supplement business together, taking the first steps toward the business model that Brian would later become famous for promoting online. It was during this time, which can roughly be placed in the 2000s, when Brian was in his late 20s, the time period when his Liver King identity began to take form. According to him, his kids had severe allergy issues that caused them to go into anaphylactic shock quite frequently, and because the doctors were seemingly incapable of helping it, it inspired Brian to pursue alternative paths to treat their ailments. While he was already physically fit and ate relatively healthy, it's at this point that he began experimenting with eating specifically organic, pasture-raised, and wild animals, nose to tail. By this, he means he, and consequently his family, were eating unusual parts of the animal, not just liver, but also their brains, eyes, their balls, and anything that was physically edible. You can actually see it in pictures as his beard grows larger and larger. Whoever Brian used to be was consumed, nose to tail, you might say, by the entity known as Liver King. Like Gollum with the ring, or the Ice King with the crown, he suffered a grim transformation. You could also say it's like Joker with the jokes. Why so serious? It took over a decade to complete, but in August 2019, you could see it approaching its final form. In this obscure video from an old alternate account of his, he's doing almost 100 sit-ups in 2 minutes. And although he's already close to the final Liver King look, you can see that he's still somewhat normal.
They say it can't be done, but even the word impossible has the words impossible.
The signature redness in his face and gruff voice is not quite there yet, and there's still a glimmer of humanity in his eyes. The same cannot be said for the person he'd become just 2 years later, when he began going viral on multiple social media platforms, but with a particular emphasis on Facebook. In a promotional video by Sport Bible, which now sits at over 7 million views, he's referred to as a barbarian lad, as clips of his supposedly ancestral lifestyle play, most of which consist of him carrying kettlebells in the wilderness and looking absolutely sauced out of his mind. It's important to establish early that Brian is widely suspected of having paid for his placement post and potentially even paid for a good chunk of its views, which explains why it went viral before he even had a significant online presence of his own, as he only made his YouTube account a month later. There were already some negative reactions from people over on Facebook who pointed out that there was nothing ancestral about a clearly steroid-addled behemoth of a man carrying kettlebells while being filmed by a digital camera. However, Facebook is also full of unquestioning boomers, so Liver King's fame remained mostly safely tucked away from widespread scrutiny. That is, until Derek from More Plates, More Dates made his first video on him. Here, we can see that at this point, Brian only had 60,000 followers and 46 posts.
Hey,
but it
how's
was
it
clear
going?
from the start that the whole point of his online presence was to promote supplements. There were already a few people on Reddit who were familiar with Brian's eccentric lifestyle and how he promoted his business, with a combination of the shock factor of him eating raw animal organs and, of course, lying about how he got his physique. Derek goes over one particular exchange where someone sent a DM to the Liver King Instagram account.
Hey man, you're full of just tell fans you're on gear or GRT. And his response, instead of just saying if he is or isn't natty, I've never cheated, nor taken a shortcut in any capacity of life. You earn the life and wife that you behold. Most people think it's impossible because they look like
To summarize this copy-pasted advertisement answer, Brian claims he's optimized all of his muscle-building biological markers by following his ancestral tenets, which is guaranteed to be a lie, and a pretty fraudulent one at that, since he's actively using this claim to sell supplements. Given that this was taking place right around the pandemic, and the Liver King's website also has plenty of mentions of joining the Barbarian Legion, it definitely looks like another Hustlers University situation in the making.
Breathe air! You need a base!
Fortunately, people were on to him from the first moment he showed up on their algorithms. Shortly after Derek's video, Brian debuted on YouTube with basically a rehash of his video that went viral on Facebook, but it had added narration where he speaks a little bit about how he's bringing back the things that the modern world left out. The thing is, like pretty much every single guy who nourishes this idealized version of humanity's distant past, he exclusively speaks in abstractions.
Gloves.
New Wannabe Kids Gummies
God
can be
damn it.
for kids who are full of tricks.
Popeye's is getting saucy.
A solid financial future doesn't happen by chance. Let's talk about your potential today.
I hate getting old.
HBO Max together for $16.99 a month. I want to find people who murdered my wife. So you let her out. She is the one.
Done.
Skip that.
When you realize that people are suffering and struggling and that there's a simple, elegant solution of return to ancestral living, that's really what my purpose is now. There's this really simple way of living. It's ancestral living. It's the way that we've lived for millions of years. It's accessible. It's something you can literally do right now, today. And you can have an impact and change your life tomorrow.
I guess that's because if he doesn't, then he has to sell his stuff by giving out the specifics of his lifestyle, like not ever brushing his teeth or not wiping after he shits. And I don't think that would get very far.
How does Liver King clean his beard and his mustache? I don't. I also don't use deodorant. I don't brush my teeth. And I don't wash my hands.
If he were to give any specific time frame for what he means with ancestral, you can easily find out why humanity evolved past that lifestyle. It's extremely inconvenient. As it turns out, being a hunter-gatherer isn't a paradise where you do kettlebell farmer's watch through your 500-acre property all day, regardless of what supplement merchants will tell you. It probably is actually a bit of a nightmare, where your next meal isn't even a guarantee, but that's not very appetizing for a potential customer. Soon after, Brian posted a few terribly filmed and hard-to-follow attempts at workout videos, but these didn't really go anywhere, as actual content that requires any amount of forethought, cohesive structure, and editing aren't really his strong suit. Soon enough, he went back to doing what he does best.
To be fair, they're not my strong suit either.
50 raw eggs in under 3 minutes. This was also reacted to by Derek, and during this period, Derek's videos about Brian got a lot more views than Liver King's own content. However, on Instagram, he had grown by hundreds of thousands of followers, which added to people's general dissatisfaction with the Liver King phenomenon, as it begged the question of just how many people were genuinely falling for his act and buying his supplements, thinking they'd look more like Brian. Due to how big his stuff was getting, and how absurd it looked at first glance, it was only a matter of time before other fitness influencers got on his case. And Derek was soon joined by Greg Doucette, who also commented that the chances that Brian was natural were extremely low, meaning he was most likely lying and scamming his audience. Then, Garage Strength joined in, and as far as I know, he was the first guy to actually go through each and every one of Brian's 9 ancestral tenets. While some of the tenets were fine in and of themselves, he comments on the impression he got.
I think we have to be weary when it comes down to like join my tribe and shield, but it just reminds me of like this weird feeling of like follow me, which maybe that's part of it, right? Is trying to get people that really just want to dive deep into his teaching. Dude, what's your vision? I think that's a better way. What is your vision? Do you want to be really good at something? Well, if you want to be really good, you have to know what that vision is. You have to have a clear mindset. You have to steamroll everything. I don't need to join a tribe to do that, but maybe some people do because they're weak-minded followers that can't actually push themselves, and they'd rather just join a weird group of people that follow ancestral tenets.
Setting aside the likelihood that Brian was on gear, it was very clear from his self-published diet rundowns that Brian consumed a good amount of things that were technically processed, like whey protein. Not that there's anything bad with whey protein, but the majority of people who use that kind of product do it for one reason only. They want to put on muscle. The thing is, lifting weights and dieting for the sake of bodybuilding has only been a thing for a little over a century at most. The further you go back in time, the clearer it is that nobody, and I mean nobody, was spending significant portions of their day just focusing on putting on as much lean mass as possible. That's not to say that people haven't appreciated good physiques. They've always been appreciated since the dawn of time. But the look was always less valued than actual physical prowess, which is why things like wrestling, boxing, and pretty much any other Olympic sport precede bodybuilding by millennia. It turns out that being a gigantically jacked person doesn't make you that physically able. In fact, in pretty much every sport, extra weight is considered a disadvantage as it makes you slower and exhausts you faster. And we're just talking talking about straight up having muscle mass, because if we get to the topic of definition, which includes lack of fat tissue and dehydration, then it's even more of a disadvantage to the average person. If you're regularly dehydrated to maintain an unusually lean look, or if you have very low body fat, then you're guaranteed to have messed up energy levels, which become especially pronounced in the ancestral circumstances that Brian keeps bringing up. If you're thinking like a hunter-gatherer, fat storage means you can still produce energy when you run out of food, since your body can start burning your fat away. Of course, this doesn't mean that Adam and Eve looked like Boogie or Frogan, but the point stands that nobody 6,000 years ago looks like Liver King. And that's without mentioning the fact that despite having a huge beard, he clearly shaves his torso on the regular to maintain his look. Lastly, one point that Garage repeatedly makes throughout the video is that obviously everyone's ancestors had access to fire, and for the most part, cooked their foods. Whether it's more nutritious or less nutritious, cooked foods are just more palatable than raw foods. And since cavemen weren't thinking about how they could get a lot of views on Instagram by doing some jackass stunt where they eat raw bull testicles, I'll bet you they were roasting their meat. Additionally, depending on what your sources are, raw meat, especially organ cuts, can be pretty dangerous. So it's a bit irresponsible to blanket promote it as a healthier option when it can absolutely cause you illnesses depending on how you go about it. I can also go over the fact that he has a massive hyperbaric chamber and an enormous gas-guzzling truck for further evidence that he's pretty selective on what parts of his lifestyle are ancestral, but you get the point. As relatively successful as the videos on Brian by fitness influencers were, they couldn't hold a candle to how big the topic would get once it got repackaged for mainstream audiences. In January 2022, Danny Gonzalez made his first video on Liver King, which now sits at over 7 million views, and was most people's introduction to him. While this had the intended effect of exposing millions of people to Liver King's deranged antics, under the clear context that they were, well, deranged, it also had the side effect of further growing Brian's online presence, and quickly, it started getting to his head. It's at this point that Liver King becomes fixated on being invited to take part in a podcast with Derek, and this would also mark the beginning of his years-long obsession with being interviewed by Joe Rogan. In order to attain these goals, he went even harder on social media, trying to get their attention by whatever means he could.
Liver King here. A bunch of panels keep asking if Liver King is natty or not. I decided to really face his head on and show you my stack. I stack liver and bone marrow every day. I stack the sun and the earth every day. I stack blood-burning workouts twice a day, every day.
So he works out twice a day and has the recovery capacity to make it happen and continue to, sustain this physique.
And if you stack the 9 ancestral tenets, you too can express your most dominant form. By the way, this was my cameraman idea, so tip of the hat to him. I don't even know where to get this stuff.
So, was that even necessary to say? It almost, tarnishes the credibility a little bit when you have to say, by the way, this is my cameraman's. He knows where to get needles. I don't even what is this? Is this a needle? Is that the thing that steroid users put in their act? Is this the injectable part right here, or do you stick this plastic part up your butthole and then push it up? Or how does it work? He's just acting so ignorant to the whole thing to a point that's almost over the top. Guys who've used Trend know it has a bit of a unique look when it's prepared. And to me, this doesn't look like maple syrup at all, bro. To me, this looks like actual gear.
Later on, it would turn out that Derek actually took him up on this podcast request, but Brian ended up being the one who started stalling and avoiding actually doing it, probably because he knew he'd get violently grilled about his steroid usage, which Derek is known to be extremely good at. Given Brian dedicated the majority of his time to doing random BS in the middle of the woods, he definitely had the time to do it, but opted against it. This publicity from Derek would simply not be enough to counteract the negative side effects of being outed as a gear-using con artist. It was especially uninteresting for him since he had much bigger content creators like Danny Gonzalez making extremely successful videos revolving around his shtick. Unsurprisingly, Brian's own videos saw a lot more traction during this period, as he did things like hunting with African tribes in Tanzania. While the technical quality of the video is Liver King standard, meaning the audio is completely mangled by wind and it's all shot by shaky handheld cameras, this video is pretty illuminating. How so, you may ask? Well, in it, Brian hangs out with some people who actually live the way he LARPs as if he did. And wouldn't you know it, they're not 300-pound, muscle-bound freaks of nature who have a hard time breathing while stationary. Despite there being some verifiable benefits like dental health, it's not at all clear that these people are even close to as well-nourished as a modern Westerner who pops a dozen supplement pills a day to meet his daily vitamins and whatnot. The problem really isn't isn't that he sells supplements or that he's very concerned with his health. On their own, those things are fine and even good. The only problem is that his lies are so deeply intertwined with his overall message that it waters down the whole thing. So even if he does have something good to say, it'll be lost along the way. In May 2022, about 6 months into his online fame, Brian found himself being covered by none other than John Bravo. Now, you guys may remember John from my video about Wes Watson, but for those of you who don't know who he is, John Bravo's channel is where fitness con artist careers go to die, as this guy's ability to dig up dirt on these guys is like Derek on steroids. Well, you know what I mean.
Anyone who's involved in fitness knows you get those abs like that distend when you're on growth hormone. I guarantee you, and he denies it, he's on growth hormone and testosterone. He's 45 years old. You don't look like that at 45 years old. I don't care what diet, I don't care what you're working out if you're not on.
Later on in the video, John goes over a TikTok which did the math on Brian's supplement company sales, concluding he was making somewhere between $1 and $2 million per month in profit. In another video, John revisited the same stack video Derek reacted to and pointed out that the tip of the syringes he used for it were blue, which are known to be the syringes used to administer insulin. Given that no one in Brian's family is diabetic, it's much more likely that he just has insulin around because he's using it anabolically, something that many bodybuilders actually do. And it's also associated with having distended ab muscles, which Brian visibly has. While he was definitely succeeding in making money off of this grift, whatever money he was spending on PR was not doing its intended job, as when someone finally brought him up on Joe Rogan, this was the response.
Have you seen that bloke that eats just the raw? It just looks ridiculous. He's got a plate of hearts and it just looks ridiculous. He's got an filled with steroids is what he's got. Yeah, he should have a big plate of steroids next to it. That is not a natural body.
This stung pretty bad for Brian, who went on to tell GQ magazine that he's never touched the stuff, a claim that went completely unquestioned by whoever was conducting the interview. This article, by all means, is a puff piece, and consists mostly of a retelling of the information that's already available on his personal website. I don't really blame the writer, mostly because it's seemingly impossible to speak to Brian without him giving you the same copy-pasted answers he gives to everyone else. It's like every interaction of his was scripted, and he can only speak about a very limited amount of topics. Proof of this is that a few days later, he was featured on Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive, and there, he reiterated everything he's been saying up until this point. When the topic of steroids came up, this is how he reacted.
There's a lot of sub-rivals that are convinced that Liver King is taking steroids. Right? This is what I'm asking.
I had somebody come up to me in the elevator. I think it might have been the guy that yelled at you.
This is one of my favorite fucking topics.
Is Liver King Natty? That's what he said.
Yeah.
I think he was like TikTok age. They say Natty.
Yeah, well, first thing I'm now you're giving me a sidetrack, but I'll say this. You think if I was and just down here, these legs, do you see how little legs are?
This is a classic go-to excuse from steroid users. This is almost word for word the same excuse given by John Jones, someone who has been proven beyond the shadow of a doubt to be a PED user. They point to some genetic weak point on their musculature as if it were proof that they didn't do steroids. Obviously, this is no proof at all. But alas, the concern for maintaining the bit was at an all-time low for Liver King. At this point, the whole "I can only be in my property where there's no EMF and no phones and no Wi-Fi" thing is set aside so that Brian can go on a bit of a media tour, taking part in dozens of podcasts and probably getting thousands of new customers along the way. Consequently, the scrutiny on his online presence increased, beginning with the speculation that he had undergone a cosmetic procedure known as abdominal etching. Basically, a surgeon performs a highly localized liposuction targeting only the spaces in between your ab muscles, so that regardless if you're sitting or standing or breathing, your abs will always be pronounced. While it wasn't full-on confirmation of Liver King not being natural, the average person isn't familiar with this kind of procedure at all. So when Derek made a video about Brian's weirdly protruding abs, it had an easy time soaring above 2 million views. During the latter half of 2022, seemingly anyone who touched Liver King was striking content gold. Jesse James West got to nearly 16 million views on a video where he spent 2 days living with Brian at his mansion, and a variety of podcasts had episodes featuring him. He was practically inescapable in any form of online media.
You know what? No need to.
But while While his antics ramped up to new degrees, with him doing things like lifting while shirtless at Buckingham Palace when the Queen of England died, the time for reckoning was approaching. In October 2022, Greg Doucette signal boosted a revelation made not by any content creator who worked with Liver King, but instead by UFC fighter Paulo Costa. Paulo, who at the time was under accusations of being on gear, decided to pull a little stunt with Liver King at one of his weigh-ins while holding a bottle labeled Secret Juice to mock people who were accusing him of being on gear.
But the secret sauce!
Surprisingly, the reveal here wasn't related to steroids at all, but instead to Liver King's diet. When the time came for Paulo and Brian to chow down on some liver in what appeared to be a competition to see who finished their plate first, Paulo noticed something weird. Right before Brian and Paulo were about to go at it, a member of the Liver King crew came by and dosed Brian's portion of liver with some unknown fluid, presumably to make it tastier and more edible.
Perhaps it's oil, perhaps it's something to make it taste better, something to slather it up, make it go down his throat a little bit easier.
While this in and of itself isn't a reveal of huge magnitude, it's interesting to see how micromanaged the building of the Liver King facade is, all the way down to making his raw liver go down easier so he looks less uncomfortable eating it. Again, the issue isn't with what's being done, but with the fact that he continuously lies about how much he's come to enjoy his lifestyle, and that it's not all for the sake of getting attention. But time and time again, it's clear that the opposite is true. Finally, in November, the other shoe drops, and Derek posted what was widely recognized as the ultimate Liver King takedown. In almost exactly an hour of duration, Derek summarizes the entire Liver King phenomenon, which included clips of Brian talking about making over $100 million a year, all while claiming to be natural in multiple of his podcast appearances. But much beyond a comprehensive overview of all these shenanigans Brian got up to until this point, Derek had something no one else had. Hard data coming from none other than Brian himself on what steroids he was on. Just a few months before Brian first hit the internet big time, in June 2021, he had emailed a bodybuilding coach asking for some help. Help with what exactly? Well, this is what he wrote. I'm the face of several brands, including ancestral supplements, and I've just hired a team to build the Liver King brand with the goal of 1 million followers by March 2022. I'm pouring ridiculous resources into making this happen, including hosting a video guy that will be living at my guest house and a film crew that will be filming 7 days a month. I have to stay in great shape year-round, maybe take 1 or 2 months off a year. I've been working out for 35 years. I know how to eat, train, rest, and recover. I even have a hard shell hyperbaric chamber at my house. But as I've reached my mid-40s, it's getting harder, and the back fat kills me. To support these exhaustive efforts, I've recently started taking Omnitrope, $11,000 per month for my new dose. I've been taking 2 vials per week, but my doctor told me that I could double it. She thinks I could be a hyper non-responder. I'm wondering if taking a bunch of other peptides could be confounding the results and possibly interfering with efficacy. For context, Omnitrope is human growth hormone, one of the most expensive bodybuilding drugs that is also linked with the bubble gut that Brian has. While I'm no specialist on the subject, Derek actually is, and according to him, Brian was on a really high dosage of the stuff, to the point where there were some professional bodybuilders who were on smaller doses. After that paragraph, Brian goes into everything he was on, and his stack was as tall as they come. I won't read it out one by one, but to make a long story short, this guy wasn't running an entry-level program. He was a walking pharmacy. Later on in the email, he also does something he never does in his regular content. He admits that he has some health issues. None of this is crazy concerning for a guy his age, especially considering the man's hormonal profile is an experiment, the likes of which the Geneva Convention would probably consider unethical. But it's just interesting to see that, indeed, behind the facade, there is a real guy who can be honest when he wants to. This brings me back to the pre-2020 Brian, which makes me consider that he really could have been just another successful fitness influencer if he tried to do it the hard way, learning how to make engaging content himself without splurging hundreds of thousands on gear and a media team to create his success out of thin air. It's ironic, considering how much he talks about doing things the hard way, because he completely paid his way into the attention he was craving. According to this same email, he'd only gotten on all of these compounds over the course of the previous year, which means that the phenomenon of Liver King was all just Brian Johnson's midlife crisis. In his mid-40s, he decided to become an influencer, and he didn't care how much it would cost him, as long as it happened right then and there. In another email that Derek goes over, Brian lays out his daily schedule, and while he definitely did live quite the unusually natural lifestyle, it's clear here that he exaggerates it a lot for the sake of publicity. For example, although although he eats healthy, it's not the extreme and ancestral diet he proposes. There are multiple mentions of dextrose here, which is a processed sweetener. Additionally, he does eat some raw meat, but it's only a couple of ounces of liver and 30 grams of marrow, and the rest of his daily food intake consists of regular food. Things like cooked red meat, sweet potatoes, Greek yogurt, maple syrup, eggs. He even has a daily allotment of time to spend watching superhero movies and playing video games with his sons. It would be pleasantly surprising to know that Liver King can be a normal guy, were it not for the fact that this comes packaged with the stark realization that he has been compulsively lying and pretending otherwise for years at this point. After describing his daily schedule, he adds that he has poor quality sleep and has to stay in bed up to 10 hours a night in order to get 8 hours of actual sleep, as he wakes up a lot throughout the night. And on top of that, he still occasionally takes a nap around noon. This is another thing that he consistently neglects to mention in his actual content, where he acts like sleeping on a couple of covers on top of a wooden slab is awesome and comfortable and gives him great sleep. And that's if we only take his wooden slab bed into account, as the other potential culprit for his poor sleep may be how much muscle he's packed onto his body. I mentioned earlier in the video that having a lot of lean mass can lead to being fatigued easier, but another related side effect is that it's closely tied to conditions like sleep apnea.
Makes me look like a sick man.
You're not sick, but testing shows REM-wise you have 40 arousals per hour.
Whoa, since I met you.
Basically, having dozens of pounds of muscle more than what you naturally should have can make you sleep poorly, no matter how many hours you spend sun gazing and walking around barefoot. With a body fat of 10% at a height of 5'7" and a total weight of 200 pounds, you can imagine how much all of that muscle is weighing down on him physiologically, especially since he's 45 years old. After he gets done reading the email sent to his coach, Derek reveals that Brian had also emailed him directly in May 2021. This means that all of this time, Brian was publicly pretending to be natty and actively trying to lure in Derek's attention, despite the fact that he had previously sent Derek an email where he admitted to being on gear. It shows how careless this kind of person really is. Interestingly enough, in his email to Derek, Brian says he's played around with peptides and is interested in exploring growth hormone, when at this point he'd already been on growth hormone and other steroids that were much more than peptides for almost a year at this point. 1 month later, someone who worked for Brian also emailed trying to set up a conversation between them about growth hormone dosages, but this email also went unseen and unreplied to. In summary, from 2020 to 2021, Brian made the conscious decision to get on as many steroids as he possibly could, and dedicated tens of thousands of dollars to inorganically turn himself into a web celebrity in order to promote his business and get a lot of attention while he did it. After a year or so of people expressing skepticism toward him, Derek's video put the nail in the coffin, doing irreparable damage to his reputation. But it wasn't over yet. While the audience was the jury and Derek was the judge, Moist Critical, Charlie, or Penguin Zero, was the executioner. 2 days after Derek's video, Charlie covered and summarized the situation to his much more mainstream audience, amplifying the reveal to people who otherwise don't keep up with the ongoings of the online fitness community. In Charlie's video, there's the inclusion of the first quote-unquote response Brian had to the email leaks, which went, in a weird way, I'm grateful for the recent events that have shed light on this complicated topic. The man double speaks like he's the second coming of Tony Soprano. Mind you, this little blurb is followed by Brian once again asking to be featured on podcasts to discuss the topic, and once again bringing up the 9 ancestral tenets. I think that for a brief moment after the leaks, he really thought he could still BS his way out of this, and people would just look the other way. Ultimately, this is just how a compulsive liar acts. They may have specific ulterior motivations. In the case of Brian, selling supplements. But then again, you could still be a successful supplement salesman while admitting to be on gear. They're not mutually exclusive. He lied about being natural because he liked to do it. He actively wanted people to be fooled. He got off on the spectacle aspect of it, no matter what the cost was. But no online personality's implosion is complete without an awful apology. And Brian delivered in amazing fashion. Before I play you a clip of it, I'll note that the original has all the audio panned to the left for whatever reason, but I'll fix it here for your guys' enjoyment.
I'm making this video to apologize because
If you choose to be challenged, the sky isn't the limit. It's just the beginning.
hated this topic, at least to me it is, because before social media, I was rich and anonymous. And after social media, I'm still rich, but no longer anonymous. And I never expected this kind of exposure in the public eye.
I don't know if he's just yapping with no forethought here, or if he's knowingly gambling on people just not having paid enough attention to Derek's video, but he's lying once again here. He has no business lamenting his current lack of anonymity since, as the leaked emails show, he was dropping violent amounts of money and had an entire strategy specifically devised to turn him into a web celebrity. It's not complicated at all. I'm not sure what he's even referring to when he says that it's complicated. He wants it to be an online personality and was willing to be dishonest to get what he wanted. If his interpretation of the situation is any different than that, then I don't even know what he's apologizing for here. He then tries to salvage his pathetic situation with possibly the worst excuse he could have come up with.
Liver King, the public figure, was an experiment to spread the message, to bring awareness to the 4,000 people a day who themselves, that 80,000 people a day that try. Our people are hurting at record rates with depression, autoimmune, anxiety, infertility, low ambition in life.
He goes on for a bit longer here, again, repeating the same things he said on the Impulsive podcast, almost word for word. The numbers on people who take their own lives, rattling off the things they suffer with, punctuated with little phrases like model, teach, and preach. You couldn't get more deceptive if you tried to. Even the way he points his finger at the ceiling. He must do it a few dozen times in this video alone. It's like a salesman's tick he's physically unable to stop himself from doing. Given how old this guy is, it's really fitting that he comes off as an old school, door-to-door salesman style con artist. The way he manages to go on the same exact tangents, nearly verbatim, is probably due to him writing these things down and memorizing them in the mirror. Literally nothing about it is organic. Everything is designed to persuade you. He is the Wolf of Wall Street of steroids. He's trying to act like he lied about steroids and took a shortcut to online fame because it would make people take their own lives less.
Our young men are hurting the most, feeling lost, weak, and submissive.
Young men are feeling submissive? You know, given everything he says is pre-written to some degree, I'd really just use some other word to get that point across. Unless he literally means he's acutely aware of how young men are submissive, in which case this apology video is going in a really unexpected direction. After prefacing his confession in a few dozen excuses about how the roids had nothing to do with the ancestral tenets, and how he thought it was just some fitness channels making it about something unproductive, he finally gets into discussing what he was taking. And once again, he lies about it. He claims that he started in 2021, which is a lie, as by August 2021, he'd already been taking many of the drugs for a year. He claims that he did it out of concern for his health issues, another lie, as he admitted in the emails that he just wanted to look his best all year round for the benefit of his online image, specifically targeting back fat loss. He claims he always did it with a licensed professional, and although this one is harder to verify, this also seems to be untrue, since he was taking growth hormone before he even had a prescription, if the timeline of what's laid out in the emails is to be trusted. He claims that his growth hormone levels were unnaturally low, which is also a lie. What was really happening was that he wanted them to be unnaturally high, and his body wasn't responding to the steroids he was taking, which is quite different from what he's claiming. There are some other claims here, like that he's since stopped taking many of the steroids, and that his online presence has had no effect on his supplement business, but since I can't immediately disprove them, I'll settle with speculating that, given he's lied about everything else, he is probably lying about these too. Oddly enough, some of the things he says in this apology video, down to these seemingly organic curses to accentuate what he's saying, are identical matches to the statement he gave to the Daily Beast, which was featured on Charlie's video a day prior to Liver King's public apology being uploaded to YouTube. While this half apology was bad enough on its own to spell the downfall of Liver King, with everyone and their mother commenting on his situation, it was actually just the beginning.
Hey Derek, you know how I got so jacked?
How?
I followed the 9 ancestral tenets.
I heard that one fairly well.
It's the best way. One of them came up to me in Vegas.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one of my security guards stopped him. He was like, I'm a producer for the Liver King.
Like, how many UFC events did he try and, like, cozy up?
He was front row at one of my shows in Vegas.
Oh, damn.
At the MGM. Yeah, and then I saw him again at the Canelo fight. He was trying really hard to get on the podcast. And he's been trying really hard to get on now. He contacted a few friends of mine. And some of them that have, like, Bert Kreischer, that had him on the show.
And he told me he's trying to get on.
Yeah, for what? For what? Say that more? Like, come on, this is dumb, man. you ran a con game and you got busted.
Just a few days after the apology video went up, John Bravo reported on Paul Saladino, or Carnivore MD, who was Liver King's business partner, claiming to have fallen for Brian's lies for 5 years and being hurt by the fallout. The thing about this is, prior to 2020, Brian was visibly a lot smaller and far from the man-mammoth he later became. So the chances of Paul not noticing that his business partner suddenly put on 20 pounds of muscle in his mid-40s with the specific intent of using his physique and appearance to promote his business, well, the chances are pretty much non-existent. If you go back and look at their public interactions, it's very clear that Paul is as in on the lie for the money as Brian is.
See someone with your physique, they look at it and they think there's something going on here. There's gear, there's steroids, there's performance-enhancing drugs. When I see people ask this question, I think, if you could do, 1/10, or if you worked out 1/10 as hard as Liver King, then you could ask him this question. I've lived with you, I've spent time with you, and I've never seen anybody live the ancestral messages.
Oh, fuck. Oh.
Richly and deeply and truly as you do.
Obviously, him later disavowing Brian's steroid lies was motivated by him trying to throw Brian under the bus, as if he had no idea what he was doing. While Paul clearly hasn't suffered the same career annihilation as Brian, it's mostly because Paul is much better at actually making properly structured content rather than social media engagement bait, which was all that Liver King could ever do. However, Paul has similarly been subject to criticism and scrutiny from the fitness community for his health and fitness advice, so I wouldn't say say he's entirely out of the woods yet, especially due to his involvement with the Liver King scandal. Another day went by, and someone else came forward to explain their previous involvement with Liver King. But this time, it was actually justified, as this was the person responsible for leaking the emails that proved Liver King was on gear. Vigorous Steve, the Liver King's trainer, to whom the emails from Brian were addressed, came out as such, and explained why he did what he did.
Hypothetical question for you. If somebody signs up for coaching and you have to refund them after 2 or 3 weeks of miscommunication and a ton of red flags, does that really count as coaching? I felt very conflicted about this entire situation for the last 1.5 years, but after I saw the apology video and the statement by Paul Saladino, I felt horrible. I should have released this information months ago, the first time this guy started to claim natural publicly. I gave Derek permission to use these emails in a redacted form to help Brian, aka the Liver King, finally come clean, which to a certain extent he did. He admitted to experimenting and taking the performance-enhancing drugs at the time. He filled out the questionnaire, and then he patched one line with another line, saying that he's currently under doctor-supervised testosterone replacement therapy. Take it from me, nobody else on this planet looks like that on TRT just by itself. And now looking back on it, I honestly think that he wasn't truthful and transparent on the questionnaire either. He just gave me enough information to help him fix his IGF-1 levels, but his blood work results weren't very representative of the cycle that he presented to me, not regarding the use of anabolic androgenic steroids. So while he at the time said he was on a cruise dose of testosterone cypionate, how many blasts or how many actual cycles he did previously, I don't know. He didn't really get
lunch break before I get back trying to finish up these workflows.
To do additional health screening going forward. He told me he felt fine. That's a huge red flag for me. I've heard this 100 times before from competitive bodybuilders who are very reluctant to really get their health in order, knowing that this was going to turn into a headache and wanting to phase out the coaching services anyway. I decided to refund him his money. I told him we were not going to be a good match, and I never heard from him again. What he wanted me to do is be his drug guy secretly. I would have been complicit in this lie all along. And if I knew what was going to happen, what the Liver King was going to turn into, man, I wouldn't be able to live with myself. In one point or another, when he started claiming natural, I would have dropped him as a client anyway and refunded him at that point in time. If I knew what he was going to turn into, I would have never sent him the questionnaire.
Steve's explanation is a lot more believable than Paul's, since he actually didn't know who Brian was and only interacted with him for a couple of weeks before he dropped him as a client. Additionally, this confirms what was already suspected, that even in his emails, Brian was still being deceptive and not giving the full picture of what he was on, and continued to lie about it in a different way, even after he was exposed. Despite Steve's addition to the dog pile on Liver King being relatively obscure, especially in comparison to other people's contributions, it served as the last nail in the coffin, getting into detail regarding just how dishonest Brian was, not just to the public, but seemingly to every single person he spoke to, whether in front of the camera or behind the scenes. It didn't even take a full month after the admission and apology for former fans and customers of him to sue him to the tune of $25 million, not only for deceiving them into thinking that his physique was natural while promoting his pills, but also for getting them to eat raw food that made customers sick, according to the Daily Mail article reporting on it. Over the next few months, up until around the midpoint of 2023, things went quiet with Liver King, at least quiet in comparison to the immediate fallout of Derek's expose video. During that period, Brian continued to make new posts and promote the primal lifestyle, as if nothing had changed. And indeed, as far as his sales were concerned, he was still doing really good. As John Bravo eventually showed, his products continued to sell well despite what had happened. Money-wise, Brian had every motivation in the world to continue eating big mountains of bull testicles online. There were even a few content creators who were still perfectly willing to collaborate with him, so there was really no reason to change up his gimmick. However, the unknown amounts of heavy-duty gear he was on were clearly wearing on his body, as over the course of months, he looked to be years older than he actually was, when just a couple of years prior, when he was clean, he looked pretty young and healthy for a middle-aged guy. The wealth flexes only got even more egregious, as he posted himself flying in a private plane and responded to comments explaining why this was actually very primal. Despite saying he was still on gear in his apology video, according to Brian, he spent the first 222 days of 2023 being, quote, completely natural. How did he prove it? Well, he wrote about it on his website. No blood work whatsoever, like other natural athletes and bodybuilders provide, just more talking. While he visibly lost muscle mass, it probably means he lowered his dosage, as actually going cold turkey would cause some super bad side effects he didn't seem to be suffering from. In a video he made in response to Moist Critical's claims that he was still lying about being on gear, Brian claimed that after his apology, he committed to never lying ever again. In the same video, he objects to Charlie's critiques of him flying in a
Airwick Scented Oils keeps your space fragrant for up to 60 days. Airwick, always fragrant, always inviting. Google still tracks you in incognito mode. Use DuckDuckGo, a real private browser.
Within DeKalb County, this is a place of opportunity. Being in the homicide assault unit was my dream.
That shows DeKalb County.
Saying that he's never been against technology. There's a window of roughly 1 minute between him saying he'll never lie again and him lying.
Because I would never lie again. What's ancestral is technology.
As I would never lie again.
Did he forget he used to flaunt his Faraday cage where he kept all electronics in his house to not mess with his electromagnetic connection to the earth or whatever?
That Faraday cage is going to make sure to block all the EMFs from the phone so we can maintain this healthy, pristine environment that we created that's EMF free of Wi-Fi, free of cell signals, free of radio signals.
And again, moments later, he claims he never wanted to do Liver King and he'd rather stay anonymous. It's like he never even read his own leaked emails in which he admitted to planning his debut as Liver King with the specific intent to promote his business over a year prior to his first post. He follows it up with another lie, saying he couldn't give public talks due to how shy he was. This guy was a pharmaceutical rep. I'm pretty sure you can't work that job without frequently talking to group.
Bear bait. Back at it.
Of people at a time. The rest of the video is worth going over because, again, he goes over his life story and starts giving out figures on how many people off themselves. I don't know how you can live with this little in the way of cohesive thoughts, where you have to repeat 3 or 4 things over and over again for the rest of your life. The only lowlight worth including here is the fact that before he ends the video, he takes a shot at Greg Doucette, suggesting Greg also lies about his supplements, making people look like he does. The thing about that is, unlike Liver King, who is just a swollen Ninja Turtle who carries weights around in a ranch for a few seconds on the gram, Greg admits that he's on steroids, and that they're essentially to make him look the way he does, especially at his age. Oddly enough, one of the things Charlie said about Liver King in his last video about him was that Brian looked red. and his eyes were about to pop out of his head, like Total Recall. Just a few months later, he suffered an injury that made him briefly blind in both of his eyes, and although one of them recovered immediately after, he was in danger of completely losing his right eye. The small wrinkle to this story is that in order to farm more engagement, he spent weeks simply saying he was knocked out without explaining what exactly happened, which obviously suggested that he was attacked by someone. Then, finally, he explained that he was doing a band workout with the bands tied to a doorknob, only for the knob to come off and the bands to hit him at full speed. Due to the fact he was known to lie and embellish, and the fact he was wearing an eye patch on every video of his since the injury, many people began to doubt his story. However, this time around, he could actually provide evidence. His pupil had been damaged, apparently causing something called a coloboma, where the pupil leaks out to the rest of the eye. Besides this, there were scans of his eye showing that it was damaged to the point where blood wasn't even getting to a good portion of it. Lastly, he has an image of his eye seemingly shortly after the injury where it's still bloodshot, but I think it's safer not to put that one here. While this injury had nothing to do with his gear use, another one that happened shortly after probably did. In January of 2024, he apparently tore a tendon in his shoulder while wrestling with his sons for an Instagram video. In the video where this happens, he even mentions that he knew the tendon was already bad, most likely due to how much abuse he put it through in his grueling gear-fueled workout sessions. For the remainder of 2024, things remained conspicuously uneventful, until it was announced that there would be a Netflix documentary on Liver King, which I'm sure he was extremely stoked about. After all, beyond the money, which he was already getting before Liver King, what he really wanted was to achieve this kind of celebrity status. After the fitness, the tenets, and the antics got old, Brian decided to enter his Connor Murphy arc and start schizo posting on his account, which, again, was covered by other fitness creators due to how concerning and bizarre it all was.
I could be on it, how 17 3.0 is the holy trinity of the truth. Fran, 7'3", lose 20 pounds, gain 20 pounds, just a bit on your goals, insecure about a thing that is a paltry thing of flesh. I took my dick, went to the left, and I took Adderall.
He could be playing it up for attention, sure, but while these cases always contain some degree of performance, like in the case of Connor Murphy, who I already covered in a video, the thing about them is there's always a degree of real disorder behind them. Greg Doucette speculated he might have developed schizoaffective disorder. Other people suggested instead that this could be pure psychosis due to his liver failing, as these symptoms do appear in some cases. However, the most simple explanation is the least exceptional, and perhaps the saddest one: drug use. Given one of his tenets is to have some fun, and in some of his travels around the world from this period, he can be seen smoking some questionable cigarettes in other countries. All it takes is one trip to specific parts of South America for Brian to get introduced to certain hallucinogens that cause this kind of state. Or, alternatively, it could be even simpler. These steroids themselves could be causing him brain damage, not just because, well, they're steroids, but also because they may be tainted, as he's been proven to take steroids that aren't prescribed and not necessarily pharmaceutical grade. As it turns out, all the way back in March of 2024, he took a trip to Mexico, and according to his own Instagram post, he did ayahuasca, and later, this event was fully recorded in his Netflix documentary. For those who don't know, ayahuasca is an extremely powerful hallucinogen. Some people, like Jake Paul, claim to have done it 10 times and been perfectly fine, and even better after, while many others are literally never the same person ever again. They are crazy forever after taking it. Now, the one potentially positive side effect of this second transformation of Liver King is that it seems to have made him a bit more honest, as now he frequently offered up information that made him look just terrible. In the Netflix documentary, Brian is interviewed, and for seemingly no reason other than his own willingness to fess up, he tells a completely different story of his past than what he usually says. Here, he says that from age 16, he defrauded the GNC he worked at by making new receipts to bottles that customers returned, and then re-returned them to other GNCs to make extra money. Soon after, he claims he made homemade drugs and sold them, and although this is kind of hard to believe, one of the repeated things he's always said is that he had a degree in chemistry, so it's not impossible. Lastly, he adds that he counterfeited money to great success in his youth, but however serious these crimes are, they pale in comparison to another bombastic revelation, which didn't actually come from the Netflix special, but instead from internal conversations between employees of the Liver King acquired by John Bravo. In these, he's described as, in his pharmaceutical rep days, stealing medical devices, dumping them at Lake Conroe, and then claiming it as a sale. This is a devastating blow to the technology he built built around himself, and I think it's so scathing that even he, in his post-ayahuasca-addled state of transparency, couldn't bring himself to admit it in the Netflix doc. However, according to the employee who provided this information, this is something he used to brag about, which goes to show how much of a psycho this guy truly is, to even think that this is something to be proud of doing. But as we move forward on the Liver King timeline, the last and perhaps the most damaging reveal is that even the supplement business, independent of the Liver King persona, was also built on lies. Its top product, which was a supposedly Swedish-sourced protein powder that was purported to be made from the best possible raw materials, was actually not Swedish at all. In fact, it came from the United States, India, Argentina, China, France, and basically a laundry list of countries that may or may not have the highest quality standards for the products. Although it's far from the worst possible fraud he could commit in this area, it is still technically fraud, if he was selling it as if it were something else. I feel that it's important to remind you guys that he's currently sitting on, at the very least, a few $1 million. So even if you feel bad for how deranged he's become, or even if you feel sorry for his family for having to put up with this lunatic, you gotta remember how much he's benefited from actively hurting other people through this scam, as this protein powder contained plenty of inflammatory compounds that could really cause health damage to someone who's more sensitive. The worst part is that after Paul Saladino left the company, someone else came in by the name of Chris Rishi, and once he was alerted to the quality issues involved in the powder, his strategy of choice was to fire anyone who made an issue out of it. Now, as far as information that's been made publicly available, Brian has no comment on this situation because, well, he probably doesn't care at all and isn't even up to date on how the company is doing. After all, he's too busy being Liver King. During this documentary, it gets increasingly clear why Brian does what he does. Although it's questionable how real his stories about early life criminality are, I'd guess that at least a good part of it is true. And the reason I'm bringing that up now is because in the same breath, he expresses that getting away with committing those crimes gave him a feeling of invincibility, that he could simply do whatever he wanted and suffer no consequences. Even his own wife, in the wake of the expose from Derek, wanted him to double down on the lying and not come clean. All of this is to say, the Liver King catastrophe isn't the making of just one Brian Johnson. He's just the spearhead, the face of decades worth of people allowing for fraudulent behavior, if not actively rewarding it because it made them money. If, and that's a big if, Brian was of sound mind when the documentary came out, it would have been the best moment to try and architect a full-fledged comeback. But ever since March 2024, he visibly hasn't been the same. And as his popularity was plummeting into irrelevance and his business was suffering as a consequence, his steroid-addled, brain-damaged mind came up with a simple solution: killing Joe Rogan. On the 11th of June 2025, Liver King posted a bizarre half-hour-long rambling session where he talks about the 4 swords, and unfortunately, he's not talking about Zelda. To be honest, it's actually kind of difficult to make out what he's talking about at all, as he's doing one of his free associative speeches where he randomly changes the topic all the time. It also sounds like he's sending someone a message over the phone, and it's not clear why either. Throughout the entire thing, he drops phrases like decision matrix, as if he was trying to go on one of his scammy marketing motivational talks, but is too confused to actually deliver it in his usual manner. While he does this, there's a graphic of a clock ticking, as it's visibly surrounded by the symbols of the 12 ancestral tenets, because there's 12 now, apparently. He added 3 new ones that are equally as vague as the others. This video in and of itself doesn't really contain anything scathing, but the way that it's structured is so bizarre that it once again called into question just how sane the Liver King was. He has not uploaded anything to his YouTube channel since. From this point forward, the story takes place on his Instagram account, where he hadn't uploaded any new videos since March. For context, despite everything that had happened, he was still huge on Instagram, and his random workout videos got insane amounts of views. So it was kind of weird to see that he had stopped uploading there completely. That is, until May, when he returned to Instagram, repeating his Liver King mantras in a strange, monotonous voice as he walked through the woods. This was the only upload for another month, and when he came back in June, this is what he looks like.
You know about Barbarian? It's a modern day rite of passage. It's weaponizes a young man with principles to strive.
Based on some of the comments, he was deleting some of his uploads, so the exact reason he looked all messed up wasn't immediately clear. He continued to make more videos, eventually explaining the intentions behind his return and his newer posts.
Dude, have you played that game? Mario Kart World is and we have these setups where we combine the virtual world with the real world, so we're right next to each other. More importantly, I'm picking a fight with Joe Rogan because it's out of principle. I'm not going to go fight with This guy, you see, hopefully you can see. What I'm hoping is that you, Jim Rogan, are thinking, I'm gonna choke that mother. Lights out, I'm gonna choke him out. And I kind of hope that if you win, that's how it happened. Because like to wake up from that dream, that's a good feeling. And then anything else that you can break it on me. And I hope that you won't feel me tap. That's never happened, tapping. Because I have something actually to fight for. In case you didn't know, I take on the ground. This is where I lay in the shower. I lay on the ground. That's my enema bucket. That's my enema bucket right there. This is Mr. Enema Bucket. That's coffee. Coffee. The best kind, so I can drink some of the coffee. Both ways. You wanna fight me? Joe Rogan. Baldy face. It's a little bit. He's real tension to fight. But I hope you actually release me. And I'm going to take the whole family with me now. Just like me, I'm at 4 o'clock. So if you can release me of it, that'd be good too. But you can only release me of it by saying, okay, I'll accept this organism can come on my podcast. I'll accept $1 million from him to be invited. Man to man, I'm thinking of fight with you. Yeah. We're going to make Joe Rogan pay. We're going to make 3 people pay. Primarily the fake Jews that I already said. The more plates, more bait. We're going to make that guy pay. We're going to make a few of those guys pay. And then Johnny Bravado or something, that guy who claims to be an investigative reporter, your boss, Sheldon, the other fake Jew, he's going to pay. Okay. He tried to attempt to direct a lie that they call the untold truth about a man that knows the truth, that's articulate enough to say, hey, you fake Jews.
Now, just to get it out of the way, I'm not sure what he's talking about with the fake Jew stuff he randomly drops in here. But what I do know is that he still clearly held a massive grudge against Joe Rogan for not having him on the podcast all the way back during his 2021 media tour. And now he was trying to get Joe's attention by any means necessary. Due to how silent his house was as he aimlessly walked through it, talking to himself about what he was going to do, people began wondering if something had happened between him and his family. And he spoke on it soon after.
My mom, so disappointed, my own queen, and the people that really care about us, so many people around us that care and love us and really know us. And we kind of have a look of disappointment. How come? What do you mean about the movie? Because it's not who you really are. We actually really know this is what you got credit for. I don't really need the credit, Thank you. But it's so disappointed that everybody seems in a sense of disappointment, not reconciling with the actual truth. It's like everyone's kind of left anemic, knowing we can't have closure.
In the next post, he can be heard talking to someone who sounds like his son, but he can't be seen on camera. And after a brief exchange about locking up the jet skis, Brian dances for about 20 seconds before saying the following.
Release me if I'm so
The next morning, Brian is once again in the woods and talking about him and his family going on jet skis. But when he points his camera at the car where his family is supposed to be, there's nobody there. Over the course of the next few Instagram reels, he keeps acting as if he's talking to his family when they're not there at all, despite it being Sunday, which is family day for him, as he also repeats throughout these videos. The most concerning thing about this is that he keeps demanding Joe Rogan have him on his podcast until tomorrow, or else he and his family would be going to Austin, Texas, which is definitely a thinly veiled threat to Joe, who currently resides in Austin. One day later, his speech began to deteriorate as he slurred his words, and also recorded a few cockroaches running around on his kitchen floor, which is a clear sign that his house was being unkept and that he was losing his mind. Sadly, you can also see that the dogs are still there, but as far as I know, they haven't suffered anything as a consequence of Brian's deteriorated mental state. Eventually, he gets to his jet skis, but again, his family's not there. And in the video, it sounds a lot like he refers to Joe Rogan as Joe Cohen and High Priest.
Joe Cohen is my high priest. We're supposed to be on the jet skis. Joe Cohen!
I think this may have something to do with the whole fake Jews thing he mentioned earlier, as Cohen is a common Jewish surname, but it's hard to make out what exactly his point is with this stuff. In some of the videos, he was pooping. In other videos, he was crawling.
Because Joe Rogan, we don't have to make videos to pretend anymore.
And finally, he got to Austin, still with no family members to be seen. Based on his upload times, it doesn't seem like Brian was sleeping for 2 or even 3 days at this point. Finally, on June 24th, his family actually can be seen and heard from again, but it's in a video that starts out with Brian being notified that the police are outside. A couple of reels later, we can see Brian surrendering to the cops, and although I would be happy to say that this was a result of his family acknowledging his screwed up state and intervening, based on John Bravo's coverage of this event later on, it seems that the Liver Queen was pretty much on board with all of it, and actively saying threatening things to Joe about him being on that list. It appears that the FBI was notified by either Joe or someone on Joe's team, and they promptly surrounded the place Brian was staying at to arrest him and ensure he wouldn't attack Joe or one of his targets. According to John Bravo, who claimed to have some inside information, probably coming from one of the media team members that worked for Brian, the Liver King was regularly abusing substances during this period and had them with him in the hotel, and was even paying a nurse to do an experiment electroshock therapy on him for unspecified reasons. Additionally, he was carrying a suitcase with the Joe Rogan Experiences logo in it, and inside the suitcase there was a gun and several wads of cash. Although some of Brian's former employees are still set to come out and speak about their experiences with him, that hasn't happened yet. So as far as what led to his erratic behavior and arrest, the jury is still out on the specifics. After his arrest, he was charged with the Class B misdemeanor of a terroristic threat, got strapped with an ankle monitor, and served with a restraining order. Regardless, Brian maintained that he would never stop trying to get on Joe's radar, and specifically have a fight with him. He was released on bail, with the condition being that he stays away from Joe permanently, so Brian recoiled in defeat and went back to crawling around on all fours in hotel corridors. Many of his following Instagram reels showed him lamenting his inability to go see Joe, but despite him clearly understanding the situation he put himself in as far as the law goes, it only registered on a superficial level, as he continued to be completely out of his mind. As it currently stands, the situation is very abnormal, as despite being deranged, Brian still manages to go through the motions of his usual schedule and has the support structure of his family and team. And although they do seem to help a little bit, none of them can really do anything to intervene in his meltdown. There were a few more return to form posts here and there where he sounds more like his original self, but every other video of his is him incoherently rambling as he walks through the woods and eats random things he finds along the way. Once again, he managed to capture the attention of gigantic content creators like Moist Critical and Aswin Gold, but fell short of achieving his one and only goal, getting on the Joe Rogan podcast, or killing Joe Rogan, which to him was the next best thing. Now, more than ever, it seemed like that goal was completely gone from Brian's horizon, with no hope he could ever approach it. With him being a shell of his former self, it almost makes me wish he was still just a wild career con artist who just lied through his teeth. This guy should be going to court and being sentenced to repay the people he defrauded, not broadcasting his speed run through the stages of dementia to an audience of people who barely care. There are many ways to interpret the Liver King's downfall. For one, it doesn't sound like getting on gear is worth the risks, unless you actively intend on becoming a professional bodybuilder or something like that. And even then, it's still pretty dangerous for people's physical and mental health, especially if they have the kind of self-esteem issues Brian described himself as having. Another way to look at it is that due to how much money he made in his lifelong career as a fraudster, everyone around him has a financial incentive to protect him, whether it be his wife, his media team, or the lawyers he probably has on retainer. But did he really get away with it? I guess one way to articulate that is, do you envy his position? Would you trade your life for his? It's easy to just look at the money and think you'd do anything for it. But remember, that's a lifetime of lying to himself and everyone else around him, sacrificing his physical health to excessive workouts that cause injuries and copious amounts of steroids used to look a certain way, sacrificing enjoying your family time to be an Instagram celebrity, and perhaps the worst of all, sacrificing your mind. The combination of maintaining an insurmountable pile of lies and the lifestyle which led him to take ayahuasca and other unspecified drugs have taken his sanity, seemingly for good. What profit is it to gain the whole world and lose your soul in the process? Inevitably, with the passage of time, more people, former customers, employees, business partners, will come out of the woodwork to sue him for every dollar he's gained along the way as well, and he'll be left with nothing. As it currently stands, he's a man who can't think straight, who can do nothing but play his character 24/7, who can't enjoy his private life, who hasn't been capable of having a normal bowel movement for years, and now his diet makes it so hard and dry, he needs enemies cinemas every single day. With the story of Liver King, as with any other con artist, what bothers me isn't just that fraud is not nice. It's that for 15,000 years, fraud and short-sighted thinking have never worked. Not even once. Eventually, people get caught and things go south. And whenever his money goes away, his support network will probably follow suit. Given that he's just 47 years old, the tale of Liver King is probably far from over. Although I can't foresee it ending with anything but a catastrophic crash. Well, the crash already kind of happened, but I just need more crashing. Another crash. Another one. Another one. This video is brought to you by the Turkey Tom Shaker Cup, available for a limited time only. This is actually my first time being outside ever, because outside of this, I spend a lot of time locked in on the computer, and you know I gotta have my caffeine. And what better way to do it than with this cup and its epic design?
Stand up! When I move, you move. When I move, you move. Hell yeah, APJ, bring that back.
I'm gonna finish this up off camera. We're gonna call it quits here.
People who do self-harm. He explains his view of why human beings are on Earth in the first place.